Hello everyone, and welcome to Living by the Law, the podcast discussing fictional worlds and how wondrous and ridiculous they are. My name is Matt, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jude and Guy. Living by the Law is not currently sponsored. If you wish to sponsor us, travel to your nearest cemetery and call forth the dead. Inform the spirits of your sponsorship offer and then cast them back into the realm of the dead. We will hear you. We always do.
In this episode, we return to Runeterra, the world of League of Legends, to further explore and unearth the secrets these lands hold. This episode contains no real spoilers, unless you want to be surprised by the lore of League, I suppose.
You know what I find is a fun fact?
Oh god, yes.
I was looking into a bunch of different sci-fi universes like Titanfall and all those kind of stuff. Mechs are cool, right?
Mechs are fucking cool. No,
Mechs
the undeniable fact of the
That's a cool
universe.
fact.
Mechs are cool.
But by the definition of mechs and mecha as like a brand, as like a thing, Ratatouille the movie is a mecha.
You fuck off.
I mean, yeah, no
I'm
shit.
so angry at you.
It's my favorite mecha.
No.
Yeah.
It's a good
It is a
mecha, like, I'm not denying it, but, like...
Yeah.
But where's the scene in which the young pilot has to grapple with their feelings of ennui about the fact that they're not as good a pilot as they should be?
That is always a good scene, and they got to use the power of friendship.
They got to use the power of friendship.
They did miss that in Ratatouille. I missed the scene where Remy and his brother get together and they pilot. Is it Louis?
Louis together.
Louis together. Yeah.
Use
like,
my strength, brother.
Like Pacific Rim.
Yeah, I think Remy's just a Mary Sue is what I'm hearing. So
I missed the part where they pilot fucking. Isn't his name Luigi?
surely fucking not.
Am I stupid?
Surely not.
Hang on, I'm finding out. No, not the fucking meal. I got caught in the trap. The Italians fucking got me.
Isn't it French?
His name's Alfredo Linguini.
Linguini!
No, Alfredo Linguini.
Linguini. They call him Linguini in the movie.
They call him Linguini, but his first name's Alfredo, which is a sauce, and his last name's a pasta.
He's very Italian.
He's very Italian.
I think that's your average Italian.
That's pretty good.
I do. But the thing about the Ratatouille is not about like him being. It's not about Remy's skill. Remy's skill is never questioned. It's about being accepted in society. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's
Trying
unique.
to find a way to make a parallel in the mech world.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like the same argument of like, are we not all mechs being piloted by a squishy pink ball? You know?
Okay, let's not go down the philosophy route.
Hey, you opened it.
Who is? What
you
is
opened
you?
Pandora's box.
What are you and what's your body? What do you have to refer to as your body? Isn't that just you?
Yeah. Maybe it's not.
Take this skin off me and get me out of this skeleton! Put me in a mech! I want a real mech.
Have you seen RoboCop? That guy deals with so much trauma. He doesn't want to live.
I haven't, actually.
I heard a really interesting one actually that one of my co-workers was telling me about the other day. I don't know if it's maybe too obtuse for the podcast though.
Go ahead.
You can't leave us.
You've started the thought.
Okay, what's the it's really I've forgotten his name because I've never actually seen the movies, but the Matrix movies, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Neo, not him. What's his mentor figure?
Morpheus,
yeah. Okay. Morpheus is pro-Nazism.
Okay.
Oh my god, where are we going?
Because he wants the whole of world history to happen. He wants World War II to have happened. He wants it to be real.
Oh, okay.
It's the most obtuse thing
that is the dumbest
that my
argument of all
co-worker came
time.
to me with, and I was just like, what?
That's so dumb.
I fucking
me?
love that. I fucking love that so much. That's
Yeah, I mean, if they're all the Matrix, then maybe it didn't happen. Because
No, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. If I just act
It does.
like...
No, it literally does mean it didn't happen. World War II didn't happen.
No, it doesn't.
Well, no,
it
'cause
doesn't.
I
It still
think
happened.
depends.
Just because you're living a
It depends.
fantasy. Just not Major
No, but
Hammond.
it depends. It depends on because I think I've never seen The Matrix, admittedly, but it depends on what version of The Matrix you're watching. Because like, there's the argument of like, everything's fake. We've always been in The Matrix. All of known human history is fake. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know The Matrix. I fucked if I know.
No, it's just the regular world, but robots took over, and that humans are being psychologically told. Like,
But do we know that? But do we know that the history is the same?
Okay, let's not go into fucking last Thursdayism. Yeah, the universe was created last Thursday.
I've never
we can't prove
seen
it
the
wasn't.
next. I've never seen the next Matrix. I never got past like the first one's good, and the second one just I don't know where they go from there.
Really? I swear you've talked about The Matrix so much.
I've talked about the Matrix. I haven't talked about the second one.
Damn, you've only seen the first. There you go.
I know the plots of all three of them. I've never seen the second or third. I've never sat down and
I just
watched
need it to be a better
Fair.
sequel. You know.
Yeah. That's
Speaking
fair.
of better sequels, do you guys want to hear about another better sequel?
Not particularly, actually.
No?
I would.
Nah.
Well, get ready, because this is a better sequel to the previous League of Legends episode I did. I fucking baited you guys.
Nice.
I baited you both. I was going to do a
Fantastic.
Pikmin episode, but then I looked into it, and basically it's about a space trucker who crashes on a planet, makes friends with carrots, and then leaves. That's it.
Yeah,
Can I be
and I
honest?
was
Can I be
excited
honest?
to learn about those carrots.
It would have
I
taken
was-
me three...
I was so unenthused when you said Pikmin was going to be the next episode, so I'm glad we're here.
I'm disappointed. I wanted to learn about Pikmin and those carrots and how it scarred my childhood because I could never finish
He's
the game.
literally a space trucker, and his boss... His boss has an addiction to carrots or something, I think.
Huh.
Based.
I did like 3
Interesting.
minutes of research and realized that there's literally no probable law. Like, there's speculation and stuff, and like, the world is like a nuclear apocalypse of our world, probably. But also, there's no confirmed law, and there's nowhere to get it from, because it's Nintendo and they don't care. Unlike how they care about Kirby, and unlike how the team at Riot Games care about their world and backstory.
Fuck's sake.
Of course.
Where are you
Tell
taking
us
this
about it.
fucking...
Tell us about it,
I was
guy.
going on a nice trucking ride into
No
space.
trucking ride for
Where are we
you.
going?
To
I never
introduce
thought I'd
people
be
who
so
have not
happy.
listened to the previous episode, League of Legends is a game developed by Riot Games in 2009. It's still one of the most popular video games in the world. It involves a bunch of champions being controlled by summoners across a game map, try to beat each other in fight, claim some objective, kill some minions, in order to level up, buy items, and gain buffs. The end goal is to kill the Nexus, which rests at the center of the enemy base, protected by turrets, inhibitors, and, of course, the enemy team. The game that you play, however, is the equivalent to this podcast, which is a bunch of sad nerds arguing over which mythological figure would win in a fight. That's not entirely true. There is a little bit of lore to it, but it's super old, and I don't think it's actually accurate anymore.
It's pretty funny, though.
That's fine. However, in creating these fun and colourful characters, the developers did make quite a unique and delightful fantasy world, which I went over a small part of in my previous episode, but that was all related to Arcane. So if you're here for that, go to the previous one.
If you've never...
After you listen to this episode, and all the episodes in between.
If you've never played League of Legends, good. Escape while you can.
Yeah, congratulations. I made this episode out of addiction because I couldn't be bothered reading anything that wasn't my favorite video game. This time, I want to give a more well-rounded view kind of the world that these characters exist in, as well as a small look into some parts of the timeline, have some interesting events without going too overboard. I've done enough timeline episodes. I think you guys are probably sick of that shit at this point. But, yeah. Anyway, to begin, we've got two main regions that the story centers around. You guys know their names. Go ahead.
Demacia and Ionia?
See, I was waiting for Matt to fall in the trap of saying Zorn and Piltover,
Nah,
and then
nah,
I was
nah.
going to bait and switch and say, wrong, it's Demacia and it's Noxus, Demacia, and Ionia. I found this out. I wrote it originally as Demacia and Noxus. I found out later it's kind of a three-way, but we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah, it is.
Berlin and Moscow. No further questions, Your Honor.
I think it's it's Berlin and Moscow and the battlefield's Poland. Have fun.
Oh no, well, not again.
Not again!
Poland, good, yeah.
Oh no,
Okay,
Poland.
well,
Good guy.
I love Poland.
Also to mention, for anyone interested, I won't be going over Zorn and Piltover since I covered them in the last episode. Again, if you want to hear about them, go to the last episode. while listening to this
But
episode.
before you listen to the last episode, go back to Keys to the Kingdom and listen to everything.
You got to go back from the start. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like
it won't make sense unless you listen to all of Keys to the Kingdom, then
Again, you have to listen to
this,
it all again.
this podcast itself has lore. Listen, if you don't know us well enough, you won't understand what we're saying.
Exactly. Our
Please
humor
do
is so
not
much
go back.
better.
Listen to whatever you want. Don't listen to these fools.
That being said, I have my first kingdom that I'll be going across, the most vanilla of the boys, and a quote which I will give to Jude. I think he's a fan of these sorts.
Oh,
in
God.
the Zoom chat.
Oh god.
Can read this in a
Can
little
Jude read the Zoom
soldier
chat
voice.
this time?
Can Jude read the Zoom chat?
Probably.
I
There
can
we
message
go.
it.
No, that's cool. We're working. Okay. So what?
Proud warrior.
Okay. A strong, lawful kingdom with a prestigious military history, Demacia's people have always valued the ideals of justice, honor, and duty most highly, and are fiercely proud of their cultural heritage. But in spite of these lofty principles, this largely self-sufficient nation has grown more insular and isolationist in recent centuries.
Sounds
It's a
familiar.
Sounds like
good-
England. It sounds like England. I love it.
So this is one of the more typical fantasy settings you'll come across. It's very big on militaries and big castles. It's very Euro fantasy.
Fuck yeah.
The settlement came about during the Rune Wars, which is essentially a series of battles over what was called the World Runes, which were powerful elemental artifacts that could level fucking cities, even if they kind of destroyed the wielder in the process, in most cases. In modern times, they're kind of being hidden away by a wizard, but that's not relevant to the land. We don't care about the land. We care about the people who settled on it. Some refugees... What? Go, what?
I like the
What do you
land.
want? No land for you.
Oh. You sounded like Team Aqua there. Getting rid of all the land. Fucking Kyogre. You got a big
Speaking of,
Kyogre out of here?
Yeah, go listen to our Pokemon episode.
Keep making
Shut
references. I don't
I'm just...
You should listen to the Yeah, go listen to the Pokemon
Fuck,
episode.
no.
This is like a choose your own adventure book. You only get to the ending of the episode if you follow the right path.
This is horrible.
We actually put a subliminal message in every episode. You have to listen to them in the right order to get the next segment.
Yeah. So during the Rune Wars, we had a set of refugees which were fleeing dark mages, is all that's cited in the wiki, who ran into a petrified forest before finding out that the fucking nerds who followed them didn't have their magic anymore. This was discovered to be because of petricide, a stone with magic stifling properties, which made it an excellent place for, I don't know, maybe people who are fleeing mages and magic. Deus Ex Magica, I guess.
I see.
The city had a few notable moments, including some winged protectors, two sisters who inherited god powers from their mother, which we'll talk about the source a little bit later.
What?
Is that Kale and Morgana?
I'm about to say the names.
Fantastic.
I will talk about the god power later. It's kind of hard to get into without getting into the region and explaining like where it comes from. There's a lot of entangled lore here, and also because it kind of crosses a lot of like regional boundaries, it gets real weird. Go, Matt.
Question.
Yo.
So is this like the start? How long ago is this from, like the present day? Is there a present day? Like,
There is a present day, but the timeline's kind of wonky. Not super wonky, but like it kind of sometimes it'll just jump like 400 years for no reason, and like the civilization just hasn't changed. So I don't think that it's necessarily super set in stone. And as I said, I'm not doing a timeline episode.
Oh, sorry.
But they originally settled the settlement maybe 400 years before quote unquote present day. Probably a bit longer, just considering that they've got a full city now. But yeah.
I do love that. I imagine just the wizards and stuff coming in. Oh, we finally conned you. They try to use those spells, like, and they can't do anything, and just be like, well, you're fucked now. And they just come
The other
on
thing
like
as well,
a
they're in
bunch
a
of sticks.
Well, they're in a
break these
petrified
legs.
forest as well, so any of the sticks they find are fucking rocked rods.
Yeah.
Just fucking pound them.
Oh no. Poor dark wizards, but also dark wizards.
Yeah. Anyway, settlement was created upon here to essentially create shelter from the mages who were fighting in the Rune Wars. And after the Rune Wars had settled, various things happened throughout the history of the city. First of all, talk about the Winged Protectors. Early on in the city, two sisters inherited some god powers from their mother and became protectors of the city. One was extremely righteous, Kale, which is she's like a might is right kind of hero, you know, sword and shield and armor. Whereas another helped rehabilitate the wrongdoers who showed guilt, Morgana. They ended up having a massive battle after Morgana left Kael on the battlefield, as well as some central moral issues that they had before they both left Demacia for another region, and one of them also went to the forest.
Who won?
Neither of them. They kind of just battled. Kael used her powers to cleanse the city of sin. She is like an absolutist. Like, she was like, you've sinned once, you're going to fucking die. Hence why she had issues with Morgana kind of rehabilitating people. Morgana did also kill one of her generals, but don't worry about it. He was trying to kill her first.
It's self-defense.
It's self-defense. Kael left for Mount Targon, which we'll talk about it, and Morgana left to go and hide herself in the forest and have a little bit of a think. Demacia also made a giant
fucking mood, honestly.
Out of Petrosite. Yeah. She just went to be sad for a bit.
I love going to the forest and being sad for a bit.
Demacia also sculpted a giant golem made out of Petrosite, which they then deployed against the mages. And I say giant, I mean like 12 stories tall. Like, giant statue.
I'm in.
He's a hero in the game, and it's funny because his whole bit is just magic resistance.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's good.
My boy.
He's a big boy. All of that aside, the reason I mentioned Demacia and Noxus in the same breath is that they get a lot of interactions, and a lot of heroes are from a mass-scale war that goes on for about 50 years or so. I'll get into Noxus next, obviously, but safe to say they're a massive empire, dead set on just conquering as much as they can. The first nation that they were ever stopped by in their conquering ways was Demacia, who pushed them back even past the neighboring regions. This particular war between Demacia and Noxus took around 3 years, although the Noxians had been invading neighboring regions for like a few centuries. After the Demacians were pushed back, the leader of the army kind of went, fuck it, we should head out. The leader of the Noxian warband heard this, went, fuck this guy, threw him off a castle wall, charged in, and then managed to strangle the king of Demacia.
That was Darius, right?
That was not Darius, that was Scion.
Oh, shit, okay.
He's like, fuck this, I'll do it myself. Just run
Yeah, literally. He ends up, I haven't got this in script, but he ends up actually being reborn as like an undead raging warrior. And they're like, yeah, a great weapon. And they deploy him in a battle and he kills fucking everyone. But then he starts killing his own troops and they have to lock him under a statue of himself.
Oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Scion's great.
That's great. What's the word? That's great imagery, like being locked under like the old you.
Well, it's also super interesting because there's imagery there, because he looks like a noble, heroic general there, and that's the image that Noxus wants to portray to their citizens. But like, he's just a fucking monster now.
Exactly, you're hiding the monster underneath. That's like a good metaphor for the entire empire.
There's lots of... This is one of the annoying things about covering League of Legends, is there's a lot of good tidbits, but there's lots of gaps in between that make it sound kind of spotty. If I do that in this episode, and you're like, what's happened in between? I don't fucking know. The wiki just doesn't cover it. The stories don't cover it. No, like... normal civilization, normal progression between the events. Unfortunately, it's not super detailed.
It's basically, we have a list of short stories with like the information is like fill in what you want in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's some obvious kind of takeaways that you can guess at, but anyway, yeah. So that's kind of a basic history of a couple of Demacian events. So big, cool, defensive, anti-magic city. Not a fan of evil mages, but like they built a giant anti-magic golem, so like, cool, right? You know? Wrong.
That's pretty sick.
Magic racists.
What?
Oh.
Silas was a mage seeker for the city, essentially a man who hunted down and imprisoned any mages that he found. Demacia, in the intervening years since the Rune Wars, had essentially created a policy of no fucking mages. Note, in this world, mages aren't, like, trained. They're born with their powers.
Yeah,
so,
right.
it's not like they have a choice. We're getting into racism allegories.
What?
Based Silas though.
No, wait, no.
No, Silas is a mage seeker for the city. After a while of hunting mages, he goes... So, mage seeker for the city, he's imprisoning people.
Oh, no, bad boy.
But, eventually, after a while of hunting mages, he goes, it seems kind of unfair that I'm hunting down all these randoms who have, like, any magic at all, when... Not that it's publicly known, but there are nobles in the city who have really strong magic powers, and they're just protected by their status.
Like I say, based Silas.
It's almost like the thing that really separates us as class.
It's a lot of allegories going on here.
Next, you're gonna tell me money was involved.
Yeah. Anyway, after, a little bit of soul searching, he's still doing his job, but he ends up trying to protect a 12-year-old girl who has unstable magic, but he essentially says to the other Mage Seekers, like, hey guys, can we just try and, like, do something that isn't throw her in prison or exile her? Unfortunately, during this confrontation, he, like, touches the girl's arm and discovers that he too is a mage. He has the ability to redirect others' magical powers. He can absorb them and use them as his own. So he fucking annihilates the other 3 Mage Seekers who are with him.
Oh, that's kind of sick.
Just explodes them.
Is this inside
Demacia? Well, Demacia's region, but, like, not in the city.
Okay. Is it only in the city that magic doesn't work, or is it in the whole region?
It's muffled in the city because it's actually built out of Petricide, which is the forest thing. I think that if you're in any of the areas of Petricide Forest, then it's also muffled, but I don't think there's that much of it left, because the Demacians have obviously, taken it all and built it into castles and shit.
Is it like, when you say muffled, does it work at all, or just nothing?
If you're directly bound by Petricide, your magic powers do not work. If you're near it, I think it just muffles it, like it just, like, slows it, but yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Anyway, obviously he then did that and then got thrown in jail. He's sentenced to life in prison. But randomly, he makes friends with a noble girl called Luxana, Crown Guard, who is also a mage who has the power to bend light, and she exchanges knowledge of the outside world for knowledge of how to control her powers with Silas. Oh. So they're friends. She doesn't break him out of prison, but,
Okay. Poor. That's not quite a good enough friend, you know what I mean?
After Lux's family finds out about this, they basically say, hey, fuck this random guy who's talking to our daughter, sentence him to be executed. Lux tries to stand up for him, stands in front of him, and then, the executioners go, no, fuck you, he's gonna die. She kneels down to say, like, I'm sorry, Silas, and touches his hand, and he then proceeds to go fucking nuclear.
How old is Lux?
17, 18, 19, 20? Young.
Okay. How old is
like a grown-ass man?
Silas is probably like 35.
Okay.
I'm guessing at all of this, but, like, vibes.
Fair enough. I do like how there was 2 influences. There's, like, rehabilitation and not on influences on the city. It seems like the rough punishments and Kale is being much more influencing.
Might is right. Yeah, I mean, it really came down through the centuries for sure.
Bloody Kale.
Yeah.
Based.
Lux gets called a mage lover at one point while she's protesting as well. I just think that's a funny term.
That's pretty funny.
You mage lover.
Mage lover. It's just like, he's a fucking wizard, man. I'd love a wizard.
I bet you like magic. I bet you're a big fan of, like, fireworks shows and card tricks. You're big mage lover.
Life easier.
There is actually card magic in this world.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was just thinking, like, I'm just imagining someone coming up to, like, liking a magic show, and someone walking by, like, a magic show on the street, going, "You're just a bunch of mage lovers, yeah." It's very much on the doors of, like, land lovers, like a pirate insult. Yeah, land lovers.
It's like that insult only works for one group of people.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very niche. But I love it.
It's niche insults. I love it. After all this shit, the Mage Seekers start getting real racist, and will imprison or exile anyone who even is found to be harboring a mage. Originally, they just separated the mage from their family. Now the whole family's getting thrown in jail. Amongst all this, Lux leaves the city with a family of mages who she's protecting, and as she's leaving, she is met by Garen, her brother, and they have... Sorry, I was rereading the comics, and I had to put this in because it is the most faux coming out of the closet conversation I've ever seen, and it's so, like... So much of this is, like, touching on, like, real issues and trying to make allegories for that sort of stuff, but then sometimes they just trip and fall straight on their face with it, and it's kind of funny. I'm going to read the conversation for you.
Yes.
Lux.
You don't act it out?
I mean, if you want to...
Give me one of the sides, huh?
Okay, I'm putting it in the chat. Do you want to be Lux or Garen?
I can do a good Lux. I have no clue what she sounds like.
Imagine Sparkly Girl.
What have you done to us, guy?
Aren't you going to say something?
So this is what you are now.
It's what I've always been. You know that.
Say it.
You're
a mage. My sister is a mage.
That's
and
right.
and a Demacian.
Slay.
So it's so good. Like, because he then leaves them to leave the city, and it's like, my sister is a mage and a Demacian. You know, it's like you're still, you know, you're I don't know, you're still part of my family, even though you're gay. Like, oh my god.
Have did Garen consider saying, "Have you tried not being a mage?"
Yeah. Do you know the other thing that's also interesting? Did Garen consider the fact that his sword is fucking magic? He's shown using magic. Silas beats him back by reflecting his own power of his sword back at him. Garen isn't necessarily that magic, but also in the game he can summon a giant sword from the sky. I don't know if that's attached to his sword or him, but I'm sus of the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, it's free sus.
This is such like the other scene from X-Men 2 where they go to Iceman's house and they literally say, like the parents literally say, "Have you tried not being a mutant?"
Yeah. Yeah, they really go a bit too hard on the allegory in that movie.
It's so hard. And then the police come and they kill all the police.
It's the they can fix us
okay.
conversation with fucking what's her name? The girl who kills people when she touches them.
Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue and Storm, and they're like, Rogue's like, can they fix us? And Storm's like, no, you're not broken, says the girl who has lightning powers to the girl who kills anyone she touches.
Hey, but sometimes she can control who she touches and kills.
Anyway, it's a good time. That's a very old Tumblr meme, actually, but that's okay.
Yeah, it is very old. I remember that. It's a Tumblr meme.
Anyway, Demacia is a well-organized, noble, magic-fearing city built upon anti-magic stone. That's the general gist of this.
Fantastic.
I do like. I like how the way it's structured. Demacian sounds like the worst insult there. It's like you're a mage and a Demacian.
Spit on the ground. Demacian. Speaking of someone who would use Demacian as an insult, we got Noxus. I've got another thing to read. I've got a lot of quotes to read because I realized that you guys have been doing it for ages and I never did it. So
I love quotes.
Well, if you love them so much, why don't you say this one?
What sort of voice would you like, sir?
Grumble like barbarian if he was forced into a soldier's clothes.
Okay.
Not a noble warrior. A little shitter.
A little shitter.
Noxus is a powerful empire with a fearsome reputation. To those beyond its borders, Noxus is brutal, expansionist, and threatening. Yet those who look beyond its warlike exterior see an unusual, inclusive society.
I didn't put the part about why it's inclusive in, but it's really funny because they'll literally take fucking anyone who can hold a sword. They do not give a shit.
Nice.
If you can fight for the Empire, they'll take you, baby.
For the Empire!
and not only that, like, people just become upper echelons by just being dedicated. Like, there are random people off the street who are just, like, good fighters, and they end up being, like, generals and shit.
Nice,
it's actually really good. Like, if you're gonna structure a warlike society, reward bloodthirst.
Oh, I'm like, that's a good structure. That's an up. I see a ladder that I can climb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
That's a corporate structure
With your
that I
clumsiness,
respect.
I don't think so, Matthew.
The number of people killed directly reverts to my salary, and that is a good thing.
That's motivational, baby.
Put me in the company. Sign me up.
However, unfortunately, because they overlap with each other, I can't talk about Noxus without talking about one of the coolest parts of the lore, not just for Noxus, but for the whole fucking world. Because goddamn, I love this piece of lore. It's one of the best things. Genuinely, I think it's one of the best pieces of lore I've ever read.
Now we're hyped.
In the center of where Noxus stands, many centuries ago, a group of mages heard whispers from a dead soul. It promised them power in exchange for a body of iron, banded plates forming a suit of armor. When they raised him, they had hoped for some sort of weapon, but instead, Mordekaiser killed them where they stood. Once a fierce warlord from a previous epoch, which just means ages past, he killed many tribes and settlements in the northern parts of the continent. He took great satisfaction in this, as in his faith, he believed he would have earned a seat in the Hall of Bones, seated with the gods for all eternity. However, when its time to die came, he was met with darkness, an endless void where souls who had passed just went to fade away. He then proceeded to be so angry that his soul refused to fade, and after many years, he whispered to the mortal realm and convinced a group of mages that I mentioned to bring him back from the dead. They tried to bind him using his mortal name, which was Sanu Zal, but alas, he was no longer that man, but the soul that once resided in him, the spirit Mordekaiser. It gets cool. It gets cooler.
Oh.
He then proceeded to go on a rampage, killing all who stood in his path. To outsiders, it seemed like a mindless rampage, but with the new necrotic powers he wielded, he had greater plans than it seemed. At the center of his empire, he built the Immortal Bastion, a city of twisting streets and massive iron towers. After some time, he was killed by the combined forces of a sorcerer from his own army betraying him, and some Noxian tribes. They untethered his soul from his mortal armor, and then bound and hid the armor left behind. However, this was indeed part of Mordekaiser's plan, as he then reappeared in the wastes that he had found before, but not alone. All who he had killed on his journey had been bound to the plane of death by his magic, and now served one of two purposes: to join his army, or to become the matter that he twisted into his own realm of death. Man too angry to die makes himself the god of death out of spite. What the fuck? I love Mordekaiser. How fucking sick is that?
You know, when you read into the lore of League of Legends, sometimes it kind of makes me go, wait, why are these two characters fighting in the game? You've got Garen, who's just some Chad from Demacia with a sword, versus this fucking dude.
Yeah, Mordekaiser's very scary. Very scary.
That is a very epic backstory, though. He got
This is it? There's nothing else here?
There's nothing else. I'm gonna make my own.
Fuck you!
You know what it is? It's when someone it's like someone's second D&D character. They know enough to make it really cool, but they're not experienced enough yet to know when enough's enough. So they just keep going on the cool shit, you know.
And then they get into a fight and get fucking decked.
Yeah.
I appreciate the killing them as they stand. I like these guys are fucking dumb enough to bring me into the world. They're not smart enough to be my fucking allies. You know what I mean?
I think he ended up binding their bodies into his mace, which is called Nightfall. Cool name. And then use that as like the necrotic fuel for his thing. Anyway, Mordekaiser aside, the point I mentioned him is because the house that he made, the Immortal Bastion, is now the center of the Noxian Empire.
Well, there you go.
They live on it.
Here.
Very few people in the city know what it was made for, because again, Mordekaiser was a lord in epochs past, which that's people deal with 100 years plus in this thing, and that's like normal timeline. This is like way back.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot more here until we get back to the fight with the Demacians and the Noxians, apart from the fact that the Noxian Empire is just constantly in a state of war and expansion. Warrior culture and the beef boys who love it reign supreme.
It's just a bunch of gym guys going, yeah! Woo!
I mean, the most popular character from Noxus literally has a basketball skin as his most popular thing. Like, he's just, and he dunks on people as his ult. That's like the most beef boy Chad.
I do like that he dunks on people. That is fun.
Yeah, Dunk Master Darius. Good guys.
I hate Darius so much.
Darius is a piece of shit. He's my permaban top lane, but that's okay.
Yep.
Anyway, an interesting note about Noxus is there's also a lot of internal turmoil, including subterfuge from a group called the Black Rose, which is a secret group of mages who are like puppet masters of the Empire. And more recently, there was a guy who murdered the leader of Noxus and then went out to do a speech and said, "Hey guys, I know I just killed the leader, but what about we form a council out of me and some other people?"
Yeah, that sounds great. Like, I don't know.
To be fair, he does have a demon arm, so Swain's pretty cool. But yeah,
I feel like that's the kind of thing you mentioned when you first meet someone. Like, I imagine you came home and your mate went out.
To be fair, the demon is associated with finding out the secrets of people who are dying. Like, he has powers in the game, but like the way the demon's described, it literally just sounds like he's just like finding out shit from dying people, which like kind of an L demon to BH.
Imagine you meet your mate they just came in for a date and you're like, "Oh, so how's the date?" "Oh yeah, they're really nice, good at overthrowing governments, really strategic. Like I really like them. Oh, and they have a demon arm that uses their knowledge to be able to kill people and suck their soul into it."
Sure. That was the first thing you mentioned. That's not like the last.
Yeah, it's a good character. Anyway, he forms the council, which is him as the strategic leader. A guy called, as we've mentioned, his name is Darius. I'm terrible with names. Darius is the most bloodthirsty leader of the army. At one point, he was in a battle where the other leader said, "We should retreat," and Darius cut his fucking head off. Which, like, that's Noxus through and through, baby. And then a third guy who we literally don't know because he's called the Faceless and he's just not mentioned. Anyway.
Interesting.
Overall...
Did they win the battle?
The battle?
Did they win the battle? After someone
Between
said
them and Demacia? Or what? Oh, the battle that Noxus... The one where he cut the guy's head off. He won that battle, yes.
Okay. I feel like if the guy says retreat and you cut the guy's head off, if you don't win that battle, that's you're done. But if you win a battle, it's a high-risk maneuver, but it really inspires the troops.
It really gets them going, doesn't it?
The war's over if you lose that one.
Yeah. As said, Noxus attacks Demacia. Demacia manages to actually fend them off and push them back to the neighboring areas. In response, Noxus kills the king, but they still don't manage to actually invade the city. And so kind of a stalemate between the two of them. So Noxus is a little bit beaten down, a little bit worn down. And that's where the part stands until we get to another region, which I will mention later on. Because, as I've now covered the two main parts that I want to get covered, Demacia and Noxus, I'm going to open it up to you guys. I'm going to list some places, and I want you guys to pick a place, and we'll head over there. We've got Bilgewater, Ixtal, Ionia, Shadow Isles, Shurima, Targon, the Freljord, the Void, Bandle City. I don't know which ones I didn't say, because I was trying to say I'm not in entirely alphabetical order.
I'm going to say Bilgewater.
Hell yeah, let's go to Bilgewater. I've got another quote, baby, let's go! Jude, you're on.
Oh, let's do it.
The voice prompt is pirate.
Fuck you.
Tell me your pirate voice, Jude.
Bilgewater is a haven for smugglers, marauders, and unscrupulous, where fortunes are made and ambitions shattered in the blink of an eye. For those fleeing justice, death, or persecution, it is a city of new beginnings. No one in the twisted streets of Bilgewater cares about your past. It's a melting pot of cultures, races, and creeds, alive with activity at all hours. There you go.
Pirate Island, baby. It's a central haven for pirates across the seven seas.
Is this where Misfortune comes from then?
Correct. Misfortune,
okay.
Pike, Twisted Fate, Graves, Gangplank. I'm missing one, but I forgot. That's okay.
Wait, Twisted Fate comes from the pirate land? That seems odd. Sure.
Well, so Twisted Fate, for context, is a gambler. He was born with some magic that he didn't quite understand. I think his mother was a fates reader, like an oracle card.
I'll be honest, when you went he was born with, I was so sure you were going to say issues.
I mean, yeah, he was. But essentially,
born an orphan.
So I think his mother was an oracle or something, a card reader or something like that.
Yeah.
And Twisted Fate found, so this is the card magic that I mentioned before, found that when he played with decks of cards, he could sense where all the numbers were, is kind of the way it's implied. Like, he just knows where every card in the deck is, which means he literally can't be beaten at cards.
That's pretty good.
That is one of the best superpowers in the normal world. Like, if that was in this world, you could get rich really easy, right? But if that in a fictional universe, when people have powers that could destroy cities, that's fucking shit.
Yeah.
I will mention is card magic lets him teleport. I don't know why.
Oh, that's great then. Fuck yeah.
And he only needs one card from his mother's magical deck to do it, which I don't know why the fuck I don't know why that is part of the lore, but it is. Anyway.
Mommy gave me a deck and I can teleport. You know what I mean?
There are a few. So Twisted Fate aside.
Say that in a Kiwi accent.
Why a Kiwi accent? Is he Kiwi?
For the sake of this joke, yes.
Why is that Kiwi? I don't. Okay.
He wants you to say dick.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man. Come on.
Lives there for 3 years, doesn't even learn anything.
I'm just so used to them. I don't hear it anymore.
I've got to use my mother's magic dicky.
My mum's dick, yeah.
Oh, I'm so funny.
Twisted Fate is so he's a gambler. He ends up in the islands because he basically gets run out of every other casino in the rest of Runeterra. Runeterra, by the way, is the name of the world.
Yeah.
Continent. I'm not 100% sure.
He looks real hot.
He is. He's a cool guy.
I was gonna say Runeterra earlier, but then I thought I was wrong. So.
No, Runeterra is correct.
Okay, I was gonna say Runeterra. When
Actually,
you
I have a question.
Go.
Where, I know we talked about them last time, but I'm forgetful. Piltover and by extension Zorn. Where are they in relation to Demacia and stuff?
So, okay, I should have gone over this. Actually, this is a fair point. Runeterra is basically one big continent in the shape of a C, a backwards C. If it was really squashed, it's like a little side loop with one little bridge connecting them. The bridge is Zorn and Piltover. They're like the one little peninsula that connects the southern and northern part of the continent.
Ah, shit. Okay, fair.
The northern part of the continent is where a lot of different areas lie. A lot of them are in there. So Demacia and Noxus are basically in the middle.
Yeah.
Towards the north is the Freljord. Towards the... Is there anything else there? I think it might just be those three.
Oh, we'll Google the map.
Anyway, Bilgewater is islands off to the eastern side, yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So currently we're in islands off to the eastern side. Demacia, Noxus, northern part of the continent. Zorn, Piltover on the bridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see now. I see. Yeah.
I'm looking at a map.
Oh, that's why Piltover is so important, because it's the one land connection between
Correct.
the two
It's
parts.
the reason why them setting up teleportation gates when it was already a trade city was so fucking cool.
It's a trade capital.
It's a trade capital, baby.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, Bilgewater has a lot of interesting little bits, but I think a special mention deserves to go to one of the most banger lore events in gaming history. One character killed another so hard he got disabled in-game for a couple weeks.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, we
I
talked
know.
about this last time. Who was it again?
So to cut a long story short, a pirate woman by the name of Miss Sarah Fortune confronts a pirate called Gangplank after he murdered her parents, and basically just nukes his ships with cannons. And then his character got disabled in game for a couple of weeks.
Damn. That's
And then he
kinda
came back with a metal arm, so it's kind of cool.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah, anyway. One of the other most interesting things about Bilgewater to me, well, the most interesting thing to me because of what characters I play, is the wildlife. The entire place is fucking inhospitable. Why you would ever set up there, like, even if you're a pirate, why you would set up there is beyond me. On land, things are okay. We've got scuttle crabs, which are kind of like turtle x crab hybrids.
Don't tell Matt that.
What?
I'm a big fan.
Don't tell
of
him about
crabs.
the...
Hell
Big
yeah,
fan.
big scuttle crabs. So yeah, it's like imagine I don't know what normal turtles are like little. I'm thinking like soccer. No, not soccer. It's bigger. Maybe like umbrella-sized turtle cross crab creature.
Okay.
We've got
Interesting.
other wharf rats and seagulls and some less interesting crabs. Apart from one other type of crab, there's a lot of crabs. It's a pirate island, I'm sorry. There's also the plunder crabs, which in the only iteration we ever see of them are just expert artillery operators who have cannons strapped to their back. I don't
kinda
fucking
good.
know why.
This
They're
is
just
my
called plunder
favorite
crabs.
island of all time. You ask why they settled here. You ask why they settled here, and then you tell me about the best wildlife in the world. Like, there's no question, they are amazing. I'm looking at Scuttle Crab. That is the cutest thing. I want a plushie. I'm looking at the plushie right now, and I'm
a good
buying
plushie.
it.
He's putting it in his cart as we speak.
However, as much as things are good on land, in water we get much worse. We have things called dragon
Oh, yo,
sharks.
that's cute as fuck. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at it. Oh, they're Scuttle, of course. The creatures in
Scuttle
the river.
crabs, yeah.
I'm so sad 'cause I've killed them.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's
you have to
killed.
kill them in League. Okay.
What's
okay.
the, what
Well,
are
you
the
don't
artillery crabs
kill
called?
them.
Sorry,
Plunder crabs.
plunder crabs.
In the water, things get much worse, though. We've got dragon sharks, which are massive deep ocean creatures. Big enough that the skin of one is used as, like, the fabric on a shop front.
Nice.
Oh.
You open your mouth and we're looking back and forth. You're, like, pogging out, Matt. What are you looking at?
I just looked up an image of a plunder crab, and it's just a crab, but take the body, it's like its little arms and little pincers. Take the body of the crab out and put in just a cannon. It's fucking amazing. It's the best thing of all time. And
I
don't
looked at
think
their
can
wiki
give that-
page, and it just says, like, they're expert artillerists because when they get used in the game, they're able to, like, target creatures to your preference, I believe. And so it's like, they must know how to operate artillery then, but, like, logically.
They can aim.
wild.
They are artillery. They're artillery experts.
We've got four-headed hammerhead shark. We've got coral creatures. We've got bubble bears. We have giant crabs, giant squids. We've got the fucking kraken in the water. There's a lot of bad shit in the water. But in exchange, one of the other reasons that people are in
Sorry,
Bilge
I need
water-
to send you both an
What are you
image real
sending
quick.
me?
I searched up plunder crab, and this was like the second result down, and he's just an angry little guy, and I think it's amazing.
Where are you sending it?
Stop it. In Messenger.
I don't have it open.
No. Anyway, so water bad, but the other exchange for that is that some of the fishes are sold for food, for resources, and because we're in a world of magical items. My personal favorite is the jewelfish, which is a titanic fish, like fucking like size of a ship type creature that has massive rows of teeth that are hunted by fishermen, which are looking for a material called sapphirite in its mouth. This weird material is very highly magical and could be turned into, quote from the wiki, various magical elixirs. What the fuck that means, I'm not sure. But has to be harvested while the fish is still alive.
Oh, it's like Avatar 2.
Correct. What? I don't know. I've never seen that movie, so wouldn't know.
Oh.
Anyway, so that's wild. One of the fishermen who was hunting it gets pulled down into the ocean with the jewelfish, like gets eaten by it, but doesn't die and turns into an ocean hitman.
Oh.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. He's one of my favorite characters. That's Pike.
Interesting.
I like how this universe, a lot of things like, oh, they die, but they don't.
Yeah, and that's another interesting thing to me that I came across while I was looking at Pike. Like, and a couple of other ones as well. Like, it seems like the rules are pretty consistent that if you don't have any magic on you, you go to die. But there are, like, a lot of different forms of magic that can either pull you back, restore you, or, like, sequester your soul elsewhere. Which there's a couple of examples
It
of.
does seem like death is like... This is going to sound weird, but death seems to be like a doorway to more possibilities in a weird sense. Like it's like a lot of people start off... Like, some people are born magic, it seems, but like it was like the most chaotic people in the world kind of like... If you die in a special way, like special circumstances happen when you die, a big reaction can happen and you usually come back as crazy different, which is a very cool way. I like seeing death as kind of like another step in your journey, right? It's a big event, and like the power of your soul leaving your body is kind of like just a illusion. I don't know. I like that. That's kind of like a nice transition.
Death is
like,
but another journey, one which we all must take.
Oh, it's a very... It very much treats people less as the body they inhabit. Going back to the mech thing at the start of the episode, it treats them less as the body they inhabit and much more as the soul that's within. Like, because the magic often takes place in just like doing shit to the person after they die, getting them either moved somewhere else or whatever else. Anyway, that's all good. That's most of what Bilgewater's about. I don't have too much else. Is there any questions?
Arr. You better start believing in legends. You're in a league.
I fucking hate you so much. What the fuck? That was terrible.
That was really good. That was really good.
Take one revision in your mind for once. Like, I know... Oh my god.
I just thought it was really good.
I know your parents have said this to you before, but think before you speak, goddammit.
I thought you were going to go in a completely different direction when you said that.
Yeah. Let's not.
They wish I was their son.
TBH, I've actually had that. My parents say that to me more often than not. Anyway, that's what are you laughing about?
This is why we gave ourselves access to a mic and the internet.
Yes. Because we have such bad problems. Anyway, next up... What do you want?
No, continue.
Alright, next up, I'm going to go from the top of what we've got left. Bandle City, Ionia, Ixtal, Shadow Island, Shurima, Targon, Freljord, Void. Go.
Void.
Vat Doyle. Void! Ooh.
It's the only one I actually
Doyle?
got the word of.
Interesting. The Void is quite scary, I'll warn you.
Matt gets pretty...
Yeah, why did you refer to me as my full name there, guy? That was weird.
Did I?
You said Matt Doyle.
Subconscious.
Oh, it's here.
It's already on the title of the pod. It's already on the Spotify thing.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's like not public knowledge. I'm just saying it's weird.
I'm doxing you. I want to dox you. That's why.
Hi, Guy Withero. This is a great conversation we're having.
It adds emphasis.
Okay.
and his tax fund number
This is like okay, what are we gonna do? I reckon do like corrupted prophet, you know, like taken by some Lovecraftian shit. Prophet's like preacher.
And the Dark One speaks to me thus,
Yes.
screaming into existence with the birth of the universe. The void is a manifestation of the unknown nothingness that lies beyond. It is a force of insustainable hunger, waiting through the aeons until its masters, the mysterious watchers, mark the final time of undoing. How's that?
Yeah, that was really good. That was scary.
You sounded like a
I
Scooby-Doo
shivered.
villain.
Shut the
I love that.
I'm glad.
I was doing a more evil version of Trelawney.
That's now I hear that. I hear that now. I hear that now.
Yeah.
The origins of the void are essentially the origins of the universe. I said that, like, I'm talking about regions in Runeterra, but that's not necessarily true, because the void is a key factor in a lot of stuff that goes on, so I'm glad we're covering it at this point.
Is that the guy who went to die and he didn't die? He was like, this space sucks.
No, that's not the void. Separate place.
That's a separate void.
That's the spirit realm.
Oh, okay.
Of course, my bad.
Yeah, I'm
That's
glad
right.
we kept that separate.
No, there is a difference. Okay, listen. The Watchers were some of the first semi-sentient creatures to ever exist in the formation of the universe. They didn't even have forms in the beginning. They just sort of were things, and then they began to be able to self-conceptualize, and then they chilled for a while. They weren't even aware that they existed. Over time, they began to be disturbed, though, by the creation of essentially material existence, which became their mortal enemy. Because existing in nothingness and not knowing anything, not knowing time, knowing heat, knowing light, knowing anything, they were at peace. So as soon as something started happening, they weren't happy about it.
How dare things
It's
happen?
It's just like when you're in bed, you're lying down, and you're just like, you've just woken up, and the world, your brain hasn't really come into effect yet, and you're just like, yeah, the world's peaceful. And then you realize it's 9 on a weekday, and you're late for work.
Yeah, and that shot of adrenaline that goes through you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
No, it's not, and especially if it's that loud, where you go from not even being aware of your own consciousness to holy fuck, existence is real. Like, that's another jump again.
Yeah, that is not fun.
Take shrooms once, honestly.
Anyway, as they realized that material existence began, they kind of became aware of themselves, but hadn't really formed mortal bodies yet. They didn't have a form, they were just consciousness. They first attempted to... The basic idea is, if we go into material reality, we can nuke everything that's there, and then we can fuck off back to the void, and we'll be chill. Their first attempted intrusion
I love that. It's like there's a fucking party going next door. Let's fucking go nuke the party. And
I'm
then
gonna burn the house down, and then the party won't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
fair, honestly.
If you're a mindless, raging hunger at the birth of the universe, then I suppose it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Their first attempt to... So, also, by the way, the creatures in the void that have a vague consciousness but aren't really anything yet are called the Watchers, because they're watching material universe exist and not happy about it.
Nice.
Who watches the Watchers?
No one.
That's my question.
No one that doesn't want to go fucking insane, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Ooh.
Their first attempted intrusion through the material plane was through the Iceborne, which we'll go over in the Freljord section. They're essentially a couple of sisters who are mages and their armies. They essentially tried to open up a portal to the material realm for the Watchers after they had granted them some superpowers involving some ice magic and semi-immortality for the 3 sisters who led them. Again, we'll go over it later. But anyway, they begin their traveling journey from the void into the material plane through the portal before one of the sisters, again, go over it later, betrays them and seals the rift, seals the gateway. Now, a couple of them got caught in the ice in physical forms, which there are some fucking terrifying concept images of. But otherwise, a lot of them ended up not in the void, not in the nothingness they came from, and not in the material plane, but like somewhere in between. They had light, time, and heat, which they didn't love because they were watching it before and they weren't happy about it, but experiencing it was like painful for them. But they couldn't do anything about it. The concepts that they had, though, of these things were kind of warped. Time and everything is still very weird, but whatever. They have some amount of resources, so as they're halfway to their goal already, they took what materials that they had from this sort of semi-plane and formed their own realm, which is now called the Void. The realm itself seems to permeate through some of the deep underground in Runeterra, as all interactions with the material plane and the Void leave massive chasms or holes down to the abyss. Those few scattered grimoires and madmen that dare speak of the Void at all in the actual plane itself speak of an infinite realm of unfettered creation, tortured landscapes of crazed organic machinery, magical weapon looms, and mountainous flesh forges.
I love this place.
None have ever ventured into the Void and lived, for mortals would almost certainly be consumed and woven into the endless process of creation. So the Watchers are now just basically fucking around building an army and waiting for their chance to get into the material realm. Also, I wrote here that mortals would almost certainly be consumed. There's one person who we know who can live in the Void, and she's kind of a bit of a Mary Sue. But it's fine.
Who is it?
Kaisar.
Oh.
So Kaisar is a girl who fell into the Void from a Shuriman village, I believe, and she ended up essentially taking on one of the Void creatures as like a suit of armor and has become like a hunter in those realms.
That's kind of sick.
Interesting.
I mean, hey, let's the other guy literally died like 16 times and came back to life, and we didn't call him a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
That guy literally can't die, and he created his own realm of death. So
he is definitely a Mary Sue. That's very true.
he is a Mary Sue.
League of Legends
Death
is a game of Mary Sues.
Special boy. Okay, it's a long timeline's a long history. They're all chosen ones. They're all special boys and girls.
Yeah, so that's one of the other things to emphasize about the champions that we're talking about here. Like, any champion that gets mentioned that's in the game is like akin to a demigod. Like, all of them are fucking insane.
Even the guy
ones
with cards.
No, even the guy with card. Like, he's the only cardomancer in the entire world. He can teleport, he can whip people with shit, and they're all at the peak of their power when you're playing them in-game. So, yes, they're not necessarily on the same level in lore, but, like, a lot of them are pretty fucking wild.
Oh, interesting. Do we know, is there any Void creatures as champions?
Yes, a number of them.
Is it, the Belveth, is that?
Belveth is one. There's also Cho'Gath and Rek'Sai and I forgot Vel'Koz.
Okay.
An interesting note here, all of the names are supposedly in ancient Shuriman, which is because all of them have a unique first name and then the last name of their area, apart from a couple of them. It's kind of weird, but it's in ancient Shuriman, which is an area we'll go over later that's kind of scaled?
Sure.
Shaped after ancient Egypt.
Interesting.
In places that...
I do like how they're like kind of like Lovecraftian creatures.
Very Lovecraftian.
But
Yeah.
they're also
While
like-
there's... Okay.
No, you can say.
While there's conflict on the continent, like, basically anyone will put their differences aside to fight the Void. It's very much humanity against, like, the aliens.
It does seem that they do look like another alien, but like dimensional aliens, you know.
Yeah,
other
their
realms.
bodies are things like eyes attached to masses of tentacles, giant, massive moored creatures that get enormous, all this sort of stuff.
Not like they are just not like physically described, but they're remind because they're called the Watchers. They remind me of like the Watchers from the Bible, the Watchers that like the punished angels who were sent to watch humanity.
Hey man, you went through Catholic boys' school, not me.
Sorry.
That
I don't
sounds
know, it's
fucking
interesting.
sick, man. What?
It's basically interesting. They're like the angels who sent out of heaven to experience the creation. They hated it. They're like, no, I don't like this. I'd rather be in heaven.
That kind of checks.
Yeah.
When's our Bible lore?
Yeah, we need to do one. We keep mentioning it. In places where the magical barriers between Runeterra and the Void have worn thin, though, the air feels changed and, like, wild shit just always happens. Rivers run with, weird colors. Flowers become, like, massive living beings, have, like, psychedelic visions and, like, magical power surges. For a time, some of these places are wonderful and brimming with miracles, but very soon after it wears a little bit more thin, the landscape just twists into just terrifying shit. And if the Void is able to consume enough biomass to survive, it can grow and evolve in that area. So there's little pockets of Void that, like, it's like an infection. It's super weird. It's great.
Okay, it's just Terraria.
Nice.
Sure.
You played Terraria?
No.
There's
Played like 2 minutes of it. I didn't even get
there's-
past the first one.
There's a
That whole
biome
thing.
called like the Corruption, I believe, and it literally just spreads into other and destroys other biomes.
Yeah,
It's very fun.
To finish this up, I'm going to go over one thing. There aren't that many interesting backstories of void creatures, sadly. A lot of them are just like, it's an alien who's coming to come and do some shit, either eat things or to come look at you. One of the guys is literally just dissecting people.
Or to
What?
come.
One creature, though, that is interesting is Belveth, as Jude mentioned earlier. She emerged from a rift in Shurima before she then consumed an entire town, which is where she got her name from, which was, I think it was Belzorn or something like that. It was an old town. But consumed a town and all the people living in it. It became a massive hive mind with the void creature at the center, a void empress, taking on a sort of facsimile of a human woman. She has like a head and like hair, quote unquote. But if you look closer, you can see like the eyes on her shoulders, and her like torso is just a mouth. And in-game, when you play as her, you can activate an ultimate. She just turns into her original form, which is just like a yellow bat creature that just eats things. Very
That's
spooky,
right.
very cool.
Goddamn.
Very spooky.
kinda cool.
Very spooky.
But yeah, the voids in multiple parts of the world, most obvious being the Shuriman Empire, which we'll go over in a bit, and the Freljord when they were called through by the sisters. There's also an Akarthian, so Akarthia is a small town that was rebelling against Shurima. We'll go over it later. Which is right near Ixtal, which is one of the other regions we'll go over. So there's lots of little spots around the world where there are rifts. But yeah, that's the void.
Nice.
Next, Bandle City, Ionia, Ixtal, Shadow
Freljord.
Island, Freljord. Let's go.
Really what?
Yeah.
Freljord. Jude seems to want this one.
Yeah. If it's the one I'm thinking it is.
It is it is. I know it's the one you're thinking of.
Freljord is a harsh and unforgiving land. Proud and fiercely independent, its people are born warriors with strong raiding culture. While there are many individual... Sorry, proud... fair enough. Strong raiding culture. While there are many individual tribes within the Freljord, the battle lines are being drawn in a three-way civil war that will determine the future of them all. I need to scroll up on Zoom. One tribe unflinchingly honours the traditions that have ensured its survival. Another follows the dream of a united future, as foretold by a young idealist, while the third worships the power of an enigmatic sorceress.
Yeah, the Freljord. Basically, Icy Viking vibes, if you think of it that way.
Yeah.
The Freljord's gone through a few different eras, and there's a lot of interesting stuff. Void, underneath, separate realm. I have to tell people where the locations of these things are. The Freljord is the northern part of the continent. So very top sort of area, and lots of ice and shit. I think an interesting area to quickly cover, though, is the early era of the Freljord, as it's one of the only places that has a more ancient sort of history. The Freljord at one point was a place with wild magic flowing freely. Many demigods actually made their home, such as Ornn, the demigod of the Forge. He didn't see himself as a demigod or someone to lead people, but people would bring their work to him to be judged, and he would either give them a curt nod or a frown. Using this, his followers honed their craft to create some of the best forged weapons in the world. Yeah, pretty much, just like a little tiny thing.
He did the Caesar thumb up or thumb down. You know?
Yeah.
Alongside him was also Volibear, the god of destruction, strength, and the storm, who was reveled in hard-fought battles. The followers of these two gods, I like this, as well as the two themselves, never actually had any rivalry. Far from it, because the followers of Ornn would don the followers of Volibear for their battles. They'd give them armor and weapons. I really like that, because way too often in like fantasy lore, it's like, I'm on this god's side and you're on that god's side, and so we can't get along, even though like they do the same thing, let alone two gods like working together. Volibear wears Ornn's armor. Like, that's cool as. They're just bros. They're chilling.
Yeah, they are just absolute bro lads.
I do love that when like a god just has like a very niched field. They don't have to take up everything. They're like, I'm the god of making cool shit. I'm the god I like to war. I'll make cool shit for your war if you war when I need to be war for me. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. It's kind of just it's like a symbiotic relationship. You know,
Yeah,
it's like the Greek gods.
Exactly.
Ornn isn't super into war. Like, he's not into like needless violence, but obviously as someone who makes weapons and armor, like, he gets it. Anyway, in a later
gets
age, slightly later
gets
age,
it.
the three
he gets
sisters, Lysandra, Serylda, Serylda, I don't know, and Avarosa, rose in power as mages, threatening the existence of these demigods. Volibear wanted to use his most savage followers, called the Ursine, to combat the sisters, and asked Ornn to arm them. Ornn refused, as he had never been one for battle, and the Ursine was just like a step too far, like too savage. They would just like straight up brutalize, murder, kill, rape, all the rest.
Ooh, not good. Not good.
Volibear discarded his armor and swore to only ever fight with tooth and claw, and after Ornn and Volibear then fought, Ornn's hearth stood no more. His followers were dead, and buried in guilt, he then proceeded to just retreat and focus on his craft for like a couple 100,000 years.
Oh, I'm sad now.
Volibear just kind of went.
That's sad.
Volibear went crazy.
Yeah, Volibear kind of went mild. But then Volibear, wielding these new primal powers that he had after he discarded the armor, for some reason him discarding the armor gave him like new powers, I don't know, took on the sisters and struck one of them down. He was too late to stop what they had put in motion though, as they had a bigger plan. We're going back to the void thing, baby. Each of the sisters paid a price, one losing her voice, one being forced to see what twisting darkness lay beneath the world, the void, and lost her hearing. I don't know why she lost her hearing, but go on. And last, the one that was confronted directly by Volibear lost her sight to his claws. The sisters escaped the battle with their lives, like just got out.
Is that a speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil?
3 sisters.
I see.
Lysandra, who lost her sight, struck a deal with the Watchers, who were the ones who we mentioned before. The sisters, in exchange for this deal, gained near immortality and just had to prepare Runeterra for the coming void incursion.
Oh, are those the 3 sisters who made the portal? Ah!
Correct. Her sisters were fucking fuming at this because they hadn't agreed to this. And after Lysandra begged the Watchers for some more times, they just responded by starting the invasion. Seeing the amassed army and her sisters, Lysandra knew that this was all useless and sealed everyone present behind a layer of unmeltable ice known as true ice. This unfortunately only put the Watchers in hibernation though, as they are slowly contaminating the area surrounding them. The ice is being corrupted by the void, and also probably the void portal that they presumably come through. Anyway.
You want another name for true ice? It's called stone.
No, it's actually way better than that. It can like freeze stuff around it, and like it has like frost effects. It's really cool. It's like frost magic.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you can use it on weapons and bows and stuff like that, and it like makes it crazy. But only specific people can wield it. The followers of the sisters,
Ash has that vocal.
Correct. The followers of these sisters were called the Iceborn, and their lineage has some of the greatest heroes of the Freljord. Many of weapons of legendary repute were also crafted from this true ice, such as Ash's bow, which Jude mentioned, which belongs currently to the leader of the Avarosan tribe, Ash, as well as Sejuani's flail belonging to the leader of the Winter's Claw, another faction. Sejuani. I put their names there. I don't know what the actual weapons are called. Other than that, most of the champions who emerge from here are just like angry warriors, terrifying warriors. Apart from one, my special boy Nunu and Willump, which is a Yeti boy team who just run around throwing snowballs at people. I will note the boy is very magical. The Yeti that he rides used to be an ancient guardian of like a ice amulet, but when he faced down the boy, he didn't see like murder or anything. He just saw like snowball fight and just vibed out and became like a fun fuzzy snowball. They do go around fucking murdering people in the game. But there's also something very funny about the death animation, which is that they both just kind of lie down and you can see them like looking at each other. They're like playing dead.
Yeah.
That's kind of cute. Yeah, that's the Freljord. That's the Freljord. They're frosty boys.
I did look up pictures of Volibear. I think this is literally some of the coolest fucking art of all time. Volibear is sick. He's a big fucking polar bear. Well, he's thick, but he's also a big fucking polar bear.
You can't say thick like that anymore.
He's got sick armor, man.
Yeah. He's a cool guy. He's a cool
so
guy.
Sick.
He's got and another thing with Ornn's magic that I really like is like one of the parts of the craft is like he often has like runes that he'll inscribe into armor and stuff. And in game, once you get to a high enough level, you can enhance your allies' like magical items by being near them and like wanging on a forge a few times, which is implied to be Volibear like improving their but Volibear on improving their weapons and stuff, which it's cute. I like it.
Yeah,
so
it's good.
cool.
It's good.
Yeah, so that's the Freljord. Did you have any other questions? Anything else? Because I've been reading wiki pages, but I only put so much in here.
No. Ash got mentioned.
Happy with that?
Yep. Tryndamere. Tryndamere fits into this.
Tryndamere is also from here. So Tryndamere was a raging warrior who had like an untemperable temper. I don't know why I said that. But like just unending rage, super furious. He tried to kill someone. I don't remember who, but one of the other heroes of the Freljord called Braum defended against his attacks, and essentially Braum wields a door from the Broken Forge. Wait, hang on, what did I say? I just said Braum wields a door from the forge that Ornn made. So it's made out of like magical steel. And essentially he just let Tryndamere wang against it until he stopped being angry. And then they became bros, and now Tryndamere is married to Ash. So yeah, they're all chill.
Oh, are they? What the fuck?
They are, yeah. They're leaders of the tribe. Well, Ash is the leader of the tribe, but Tryndamere is married to her. Oh, they were in a relationship at least, I'm certain of that.
Oh, shit.
Question: who's the young idealist?
The young idealist is... I think that's Ash. So Ash is the leader of one of the tribes. She leads her particular tribe in sort of like a reuniting sort of way, wants to bring the three tribes together, because each of them kind of follow one of the sisters' way of life, as far as I'm aware. The traditionalists are Sejuani, so I mentioned her briefly. She's just another one of the leaders in the area. She rides a big boar. It's kind of cool. But they're like traditionalists. They're like, we're going to stay this way. This is how we've lived this long in this fucking shit wasteland. Ash is like, no, we've got to come back together. And the third follows Lysandra. But Lysandra also doesn't want to talk to them, because she only ever comes out to like renew her powers by touching the true ice, I'm pretty sure. So it's kind of random.
Okay, I'll see you stay in your little tower.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the three tribes. That's the current state of them. I didn't super go into it because I opened up the wiki page on it, and it was just like one of those things that you see in like real civil wars, where it's just like they did this and then they did this and then relations went bad and then they went to this side and then they went to this side. It's like, I can't be bothered.
Fair enough.
Fair.
All right, next. Bandle City, Ionia, Ixtal, Shadow Islands, Shurima. Shurima, beautiful. Shurima's a good region. Made a good choice.
Ooh.
All right, let's grab Shurima.
Just the
put
last
it in the
one.
quote box. Go, Matt.
Vibe?
Egyptian, like ruler, pharaoh type thing.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no. Desert traveler, because this is spoken in the past tense.
Okay. Oh, desert traveler. Oh, I can do that.
I could just see Matt being like, fuck, how do I do an Egyptian pharaoh?
Yeah, I was
That's,
like,
really racist.
I couldn't. I was like, I'm giving up. No, I can't. Just not going to be racist. Just can't do that. I can do a desert traveler though. The Empire of Shireen was
Shurima.
once. Sorry, I literally just did
It's
not
all right.
read.
Don't worry about it.
Where I got Shireen from? Do you know the Empire of Shurima was once a thriving civilization that spanned a vast deserts after an era of growth? Jude's fucking laughing and it's killing me. Era of growth and prosperity. The fall of its gleaming capital left the empire in ruins. Over millennia, tales of Shurima's glorious city became myth and religion among the descendants of the scattered survivors.
So yeah, for ease of listening, I'll be talking mainly about ancient Shurima. Like, main day Shurima doesn't really exist. Maybe it does, kinda. Depends on where you're at in the lore. Most of the lore's written about ancient Shurima. We kinda know what's going on with it currently, but also it seems like there should be a lot more people there than there is in the lore. So I don't know, man. I'm just going to talk about ancient Shurima because it's the most interesting, because it's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Ancient Shurima was a massive empire, taking up the entire southern part of the continent. How much of that was due to it being a massive fucking desert? I don't know. Probably pretty easy to keep a hold over that when people literally fucking die if they enter it. I think they're called like the Death Plains or something like that.
Yeah.
Not a very hospitable area. However, in the beginning, there was sand. The ancient people who live there, however, were given knowledge of a magic called Ascension by the Targonians. We'll talk about Targon in a sec.
Wait, Targaryens? What?
Targaryens, fuck you. I always, you always do those jokes where you're like, oh, I misheard you, but I'm making a reference to something, and I go to, genuinely, say that, and it's always a gamble about whether I actually, catch myself or not, because otherwise I just sound super awkward. I always sound super awkward, though, so whatever. So the Targonians, they took the power, they took the knowledge of Ascension from the Targonians. We'll talk about Targon in a sec.
Sorry, did you say the Argonians?
Which gave them the power to create demigods, although there was a process to it, a ritual. They sought a way to build the necessary parts. As such, they created what's called the Sun Disk with the help of Ixtali mages, so Ixtal is in one of the other areas. A massive floating disk of gold built in an oasis in the middle of the desert. It allowed them to wield raw, divine power and, as a side effect, brought life to the lands, causing the surrounding canyons to flow with life-giving water. For aeons, it was the center of Shuriman life. As much as it helped the surrounding lands, it still had its core purpose, which was to create Sunborn, god warriors, or Ascended. The Sun Priest would decree that a citizen of Shurima, usually, by the sounds of it, warriors and leaders, that they had served Shurima selflessly. They would then undergo the Ascension ritual, being transformed. As many centuries passed, the Ascension ritual started to become less successful. The chosen few were either not surviving the process or becoming deformed. What that means, I'm uncertain of, but the few god warriors we see are already, animal-human hybrids. Think Egyptian, mythical features, I don't know what the fuck... What are the Egyptian gods? Give me an Egyptian god.
Sep?
Yeah, that'll work. If it's
Seth.
got an animal head and it looks like a dude, then that's what you're looking for.
Oscar Isaacs?
Sure, I don't know if that's right.
It could be Ra. Ra, the sun god.
Ra's
Yeah,
good.
Raz.
Yep,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Anyway, animal
Oh,
human hybrid.
Ra.
So what warped means, I'm not entirely certain. Maybe it means they were more animal than human. Whatever. Anyway. The final event that led to the ancient city of Shurima's collapse was unsurprisingly tied to this mega artifact. The leader of the city, Azir, had been... I'm putting air quotes for the listeners in.
He's putting little fingy quotes.
I'm putting massive fucking air quotes around this. Was a wonderful ruler for the empire. Despite the fact that at some point the intervening years between when they established the civilization and current year in retelling, they started using slavery.
Oh.
Which is kind of neat.
Oh.
Yeah. Fuck.
One of these slaves was actually a friend of the ruler, as well as the chief magus, M-A-G-U-S. I don't know how to fucking pronounce that.
Magus?
Magus? Sure,
Magus.
we'll go with Magus. Was chief magus in charge of advising him. He had met them many years before in the library of Narcissus, which was one of the Ascended, god of knowledge. I think he became the demigod of knowledge or something like that, because he was originally a great war strategist. Where the royal ruler essentially was corrected by the young slave who has parents. His parents had been researchers, so he'd learned how to read and had read a lot of historical texts. And he saw the prince staring at a book, not knowing how to read one of the ancient text sentences. Was like, "Hey, here's how you do it." Noting this kid didn't have a fucking name at the time because he was a slave, and so the prince looks up and goes, "Oh, hey, thanks for helping me. By the way, your name's Zirath now. Go crazy." Just gave him a name. He named the boy. They're the same
Wow.
age, and he's just like, "Oh, that was nice. Have a name."
Wow.
What the fuck?
Wow.
Imagine this is a very different scenario, but imagine you go to a cafe and you sit down, have a nice time, and they're really nice. You make a really good coffee and say, "You know what? Thanks, Oscar. Thanks, Oscar. You're real good." Fuck Oscar.
You
You're
are no
Oscar.
longer barista 6759. You are now Oscar.
This is the future Amazon wants.
I'm just imagining Jeff Bezos. You are no longer Amazon employee number 2064. You are now Tim. Please meet in marketing.
Get bequeathed, idiot. Anyway. Despite what the backstory calls... Sorry, apologies. Despite what the backstory calls friendship and kindness, the slavery thing continues to remain, despite Azir being friends with a slave. Literally besties, brother, semi-brothers. in the future, when Xerath becomes the leading guy, Xerath suggests ascension, which was not a common practice at this time because of the corruption and the issues that it had been having. So it hadn't been done for a couple of centuries to this point. Xerath suggests, hey, Azir, you should do this. With the ulterior motive being that Xerath realized there was no point at which they said the Sun Priests have to choose you to be the Ascended. Anybody can become Ascended. So he goes, all right, I just start the ritual with Azir, and then I just fucking swap myself in, and then I free all the slaves.
Oh, so wait. So the slave guy was just biding his time to screw this guy over. Correct. Honestly, based.
I was gonna say that's fucking based.
Pause. Neither of these people are good people, I will say though, because
Oh.
in wanting Azir to become emperor, Xerath protected him when they were set upon, the royal family was set upon by assassins. All of Azir's brothers died, and so Azir was the only one left. His parents fucking hated him for this because he was like their least favorite son. Go royal family, I guess. But the problem being for Xerath, who wanted Azir to become the leader under the assumption that he'd set the slaves all free, he went, oh, well, I should stop any other princes from being made. He then proceeded to use his knowledge of magic to essentially abort every single child that the queen had without her knowledge. Going so far as to the fact that at one point, one of the children was born. He then proceeded to call lightning down upon the building she was in, killing her, the child, and everyone else in the building.
Yeah, I don't know why you just didn't kill her earlier. That's much easier.
Just kill, like, if you're gonna do it, just, like, kill the queen. I shouldn't say that on the podcast. I'm gonna get fucking arrested.
Kill the queen. I agree. Kill the queen.
Swear to God. This is a joke. This is satire.
Any
Please
royal
God.
family.
We're under the queen's rules.
We're under the
king's
king.
rule.
We're under the king's rules.
We're under the royal rule, regardless. There is a queen. We can't.
There is a
can't
queen.
do this.
We're
gonna get fucking arrested by the attorney
and
general.
they are illegitimate. I'll stay.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, okay. And when do you obviously killing? I mean, abortion. Like that's another topic. But like, when does that become to ends justify the means? If you're like freeing all slaves, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it becomes like it's less a question of whether the overall morality is right, like in the scale, like in a if we're going into things utilitarians wise, like it makes sense, but on a personal level, morally, what does that do to a person? Anyway,
Oh yeah. I'm on his
regardless,
side, but
Azir became emperor, so Xerath succeeded.
Nice.
However, he then proceeded to not end slavery, which Xerath was kind of mad about.
yeah,
Kind of makes sense. He continued to expand the borders of the empire, and Xerath was like, hey, what the fuck? And Azir basically went off at him, like, what the fuck? How dare you question me? I'm royalty. Like, oh my god, guys, what the fuck? Neither of these... anyway.
this is a real Moses story.
So anyway, we go back to then the Ascension Ritual. As Azir stands for the Ascension Ritual, in what's kind of supposed to be like a moral twist to like make you question things, he turns to Xerath and hugs him and says, you're a free man now, I name you as my brother, all slaves of the Empire are free. Which is like, I get what the writer was trying to go for as like a moral twist of like, oh, maybe it's not such a bit, maybe he's biding his time, maybe they were more political influence. Like, you didn't free the slaves. You failed. I'm not redeeming this character. Anyway, Xerath then watches the ritual start, goes, damn, he did just free me. Actually, fuck that. I've got too many moving parts. Kills him, turns him to fucking ash, and then stands up to take the Ascension Ritual, turning into a very unstable ball of magical power that then has to be essentially wrestled into a tomb by one of the two of the Ascended.
So he becomes a ball of power.
Essentially, yeah. Just like if you look at Xerath as a character model, I'll explain the next part of his look in a sec. But essentially, he gets bound by two of the Ascended, Narcissus and Renekton, who were brothers, who were very good warrior and a very good strategist, opposite respectively. And they then proceed to lock Xerath in a magical sarcophagus that he immediately fucking breaks out of, but leaves him with some chains around his body and some like shrapnel that becomes kind of part of like not armor, but like more of a form. Which explains his current look. If you ever see him in game, he's basically just a ball of blue energy with like a chains and some shrapnel around him, in the shape of kind of a dude, but kind of not.
So wait, Azir just kind of got nuked and that's it?
Azir got turned to dust. Yep.
Oh shit.
We'll get to him in a sec. Don't worry about it. Narcissus and Renekton then trap Xerath away. Renekton says to his brother, "Put me in the temple. I'm gonna keep Xerath down." They get locked
Put me in, coach. Put me in.
They get locked in a temple, and Xerath is pinned there for all eternity. Big quotes. All eternity. Big quotes. Not actually. Many centuries pass from that point, and Xerath remains imprisoned until he manages to turn Renekton against his brother, and also the tomb is unlocked by a pair of explorers.
Ooh.
One explorer betrays the other, grabbing the key to Xerath's tomb, which is the other one's weapon. I don't want to go into these characters' backstories. It's too much to go into. Where so she releases Xerath from his tomb. She then gets bitten by a snake statue, turns into a snake woman, and fucks off. Again, I don't want to go into their backstories, guys. I don't want to. You want me to tell you about the snake woman?
It's a quick Medusa, eh? It's a quick
Don't
Medusa.
worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Why did the bounty hunter who was leading her to this tomb have a magical god weapon? What do you want me to tell you?
Who doesn't have a bit of god weapons hanging around with a bit of snake lady who turns into stone?
Exactly.
The bounty hunter who was guiding her, who was betrayed by the now snake woman, is actually a long descended relative of Azir. As she lays in the sand, her blood touches the magical sand surrounding her, and Azir, from his many centuries long slumber, reawakens as a partial ascended, sort of like a creature of the sand, just enough magical energy to hold himself together as a body.
Right.
He finds this lady lying in the sand and goes, you're probably important, and then drags her to where Shurima the sun disk once stood. As I mentioned at the start, as a side effect, it had life-flowing waters flowing from the oasis below it.
Oh, fantastic.
He places his relative, named Severe, into the waters, and she is healed. And as this happens, he is redeemed, big fucking quotes, and goes on to become an ascended. He absorbs some power that there's a cinematic they made for this, and the light bounces through the ruins of Shurima and then fucking beams him and he turns into an ascended. How much of that is myth? How much of that is real? Who fucking knows? Anyway, he then becomes an ascended and then uses his new powers to reshape his civilization, bring the ruins back with the power of the shifting sand, and is now a commander of warriors made of sand and these ruins and stuff like that. So
nice.
That's Azir.
So okay. So again, no one has ever truly fucking gone in this world. It's the Star Wars, old Star Wars love again.
So the argument for him surviving is that he was pushed out midway through a demigod ascension ritual. The argument being that his soul absorbed just enough divine power to just stick around, just long enough.
He's definitely got the best excuse. Not a good excuse. It's the best one.
But it's the best one thus far. Yeah.
But okay, does he have? So he had children then?
No kids.
So someone just of his relative, maybe a cousin or something like that.
He must. Oh, well. Also, he did have a bunch of. He might have had sisters. Maybe he had kids. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, to be honest.
Yeah,
you know what it could be.
Blood.
Maybe he had nephews or something.
Maybe
his brothers died.
Something. Who knows? But at the same time, when Xerath became ascended, he turned into this magical ball of energy and essentially bombed the entirety of Shurima of the sun disk and just kind of razed it to the ground.
Yeah,
hence why in modern day. It's a fucking desert.
It's a bit of a desert. Come on, Xerath. You gotta free the slaves, not bomb the city. It's two very different things.
In his mild defense, he apparently went totally fucking batshit when he absorbed that much magical energy. That's kind of one of the arguments. But, yeah.
All I'm saying is he obviously just wasn't prepared and needs to prep more.
He should have let Azir do it.
Yeah. Prep harder. That's what I think.
I'm sure that he could have convinced Azir as the brother of the king and one of the most powerful mages who ever existed to get him an ascension ritual.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway,
he couldn't even convince him to free the slaves, so maybe not.
So with Xerath, that's the end of the ancient era essentially for the thing. We do still have Ascended running around, who through an earlier battle with an area in southern Shurima had confronted the Void In the meantime, between ancient Shurima and modern day Shurima, at some point in between, the Void essentially started to cause a couple of them to go kind of bonkers, go kind of batshit, which led to the creation of the Darken, which are ascended warriors in forms of like pure evil, like pure hatred, trying to kill each other, trying to kill everything in between. This created what was called the Darken Wars. Again, this is a big event. I can't really go into it too much, but they were basically just all murdering each other. In the end, though, there was some divine intervention that taught the mages of the world how to imprison Darkens in the weapons they wielded, which meant that they could be kind of kept down and pushed away, which created in League of Legends what's called the Darken weapons, which are basically super demon blades that if you take a hold of them, they possess you and use your body as a vehicle for this ancient ascended god gone mad by the power of the Void.
Fun.
Yeah. I think there's... Hang on.
Okay, so you talked about like this divine power, right?
Yes.
And there's divine intervention. So there are gods?
Yes.
What are they?
Hey, if you want to go to Targon next, you just tell me.
I mean, if we're done with Shurima, I want to hear about
I've got one more bit for Modern Shurima.
Okay.
Modern Shurima
Also,
is...
it's my pick next, Matt, so like...
I want to hear about the gods. Where are
Shame.
they?
Shame.
Modern Shurima is entirely the domain of just a few explorers and archaeologists, as well as Give me a sec. As well as a small few desert towns. The region is scarred by the various plagues they've had upon them, from the Void to the Ascended. It's a wasteland by most modern standards, apart from small little pockets of ancient magical power. It also houses the caves where the Bracken are found, which is the crystal creatures, which I go more into on the previous episode. So listen, listen
That
to that.
horrible. I hated it.
Yeah, you should listen to it if you want to hear something you hate.
It's horrifying.
That's most of Shurima. Any questions?
Yes.
Go.
Kale and the other her
Kayla
sister.
Morgana, yes.
Are they ascendants?
Yes, so the power of creating Ascendeds in the way that the Shurimans do is stolen from one of the original gods of creation, which was taken on the edge of from the peak of Mount Targon. It's kind of hard to explain without you knowing about Targon. I'm happy to go back over it when we get to that point.
Great. No. Now it's
But they
up to you.
they are essentially the same creatures. The people from Targon who are ascended are much more like vassals of gods, whereas the creatures who are created through the Shuriman method are much more just like stealing divine power.
Yeah, fair enough. No, interesting. Now it's up to Jude to make the right decision and pick.
All right, we've got Bandle City, Ionia, Ixtal, Targon.
I'm gonna go Bandle City.
Hell yeah,
piece of
Bandle
shit.
City. Hey, it's your choice next. Don't worry. Bandle
leaving
City,
me in
Bandle
mystery.
City, Bandle City bangs. Bandle City is the best.
Yeah.
Bandle City is another realm detached from Runeterra, but it's still very much part of the world, as the champions known as Yordles find their home here. It's a small
Nice.
pocket of the spirit realm, which is described as follows. I'm taking this one, fuck you guys. In Bandle City, it is said that every sensation is heightened for non-Yordles. Colours are brighter. Food and drink intoxicates the senses for years, and once tasted will never be forgotten. The sunlight is eternally golden, the waters crystal clear, and every harvest brings a fruitful bounty. Perhaps some of these claims are true, or maybe none, for no two tale-tellers ever seem to agree on what they actually saw. We don't
Fantastic.
know a lot about the Yordles, because they're a real mysterious little gang of guys.
Sounds
Yordles-
fucking whack.
Yeah. The way to get to Bandle City is through a series of gateways which each have their own unique way of getting through. Certain portals can only be opened with a series of specific gestures, which are often defined by like some symbols scribed nearby. Some are open to like a deep cavern in the ocean, which only reveals itself when low tide is around. Sometimes you have to wait for days for the eastern star to align with a stone archway, or to find a silver blossom in between the marsh lilies. There's lots of gateways, and they've all got fucked up ways of getting through them. Some of these portals move around, some are fixed. The realm itself, as described, is like very weird. To go back to the Yordles for a second, they are essentially spirits who come into the form of like 2 foot tall little creatures, usually singularly obsessed with something. Like a lot of them that we see are like very single-minded. Not that that's a consistent thing that we like know about all Bandles. It's just the ones that we see are all that way. Make of that what you will. Have a stereotype. Be Yordle racist. Most of the people in the game are for some reason.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Well, they have a lot of like omens about Yordles and stuff like that. Like, you know, it's bad luck to talk to a Yordle. It's bad luck to do this. You know, if you load into a game mode called ARAM, which is all random or middle, which is fought on the bridge where the True Ice imprisoned the Watchers. There's game modes in the game, don't worry about it. Basically, there's a guy who's a shopkeeper who sells you items on one of the teams, and if you spawn in as a Yordle, he goes, "Ah, a Yordle? Ah!"
Damn. There you fucking go. I had no idea League of Legends.
I play way too much ARAM, baby.
It's a nice little bit of lore to sprinkle in the game, you know?
There's so much fucking lore from that one guy. If you stop sometimes, he'll just be like, "Avarosa imprisoned us here to defend. If you ever hear the horn, you must come at once. It means the Watchers have returned." You know.
Oh, yeah.
He's a ghost. He's a ghost who's imprisoned on the bridge by Avarosa. ? Must mean he's one of the original Iceborn. He's there to watch the bridge. To watch the watch. So he watches the Watchers.
He watches the Watchers.
He watches the Watchers.
Okay.
I like how
fucking guy.
the random NPCs, once you just stand there and look at them for enough time, they're like, "Well, here's my backstory."
Skyrim moment.
Yeah, he's good. No, I like him. He's fun. So
I
yeah,
used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took
back
an
to
arrow
Yordles
you.
though. They're like short little guys, spirits. They come into this world. There's some amount of like glamour that they supposedly have, but whether that's consistent or not, because in the most recent arcane things, they're not shown to have glamours. But is that us seeing them as like an observer, or is that the people in the world seeing them? They've said that they want arcane lore and League of Legends lore to be one and the same. It's contentious. So.
I like the idea they can, or if they want to, like shine, they hide. They can. From what we heard last time.
So,
And then, like, if they feel confident enough, they can come out of there like shimmer, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, I guess Heimerdinger is just too Chad to.
He's so Chad.
The only other thing as well that's interesting is that there's also a supposed point. I went over this in the last episode, but I'll say it again here for the posterity. There's a question about whether the Yordles actually die, like whether they, because they're kind of timeless when they're in Bandle City. Bandle City is a magical realm kind of outside of our world, and they kind of age, kind of don't, but they've been around for hundreds of years. But like some of them are old, so is that like a choice? Again, the Bandle City and the people who inhabit it are fucking mysteries, man.
Interesting.
The entire place might originate from another place in the spirit realm, which is where it is, called the Glade, which has even weirder magic. Again, there's one character who goes there and she basically absorbs the power to just like manipulate reality, and then she uses it to turn people into like squirrels.
Whoa.
What the fuck is that? Oh,
Lulu.
is that Poppy?
It's Lulu.
Oh, Lulu, yeah. Sorry, Poppy's Big Hammer Girl.
Poppy Big
yeah.
Hammer Girl.
Okay, how many characters are there again in the game?
In the game?
Hundreds.
I was going to say this. I was thinking about for my next League of Legends episode, I might go and do the backstory of every single character. There's 164 of them currently. I'm thinking like 5 minutes each. It should be like maybe a 5-hour episode.
Yeah.
You get one sentence in each, and then we get to react, and that's it.
Yeah.
Actually,
I was thinking about
so fun,
doing
actually.
I was thinking about doing a torture Patreon episode where I make you guys listen to the backstory of every single character.
I like the idea. I like one sentence, and we can't ask any questions. You can't answer. We just go to the next one.
What fucking kind of podcast is that where you can't ask any questions?
It's just a guy.
It's just me monologuing a bunch of characters and you guys going, ah!
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. So the Bandle City is kind of weird. Another fun tidbit about Bandle City. While Bandle City has no official form of governance, they do have a mayor. No one recalls Bandle City ever appointing a mayor. He was simply there one day, a plump Yordle with a funny hat who decreed this and pontificated that. Anyone who questioned his legitimacy soon forgot their concerns as he shook hands and twirled his magnificent, stately mustache.
That's amazing. He just brainwashed them.
I love
He's just a guy.
That's my favorite.
Who is this a character?
No, it's just someone just wrote that.
That's my favorite character. This is very much like the Feywilds. It's very Fey.
It's very Feywilds. If you know D&D fantasy or lots of like fairy-esque mythology, like it's a lot of that sort of realm.
It's
100%.
very very Fey. The world of the Fey.
Lots of like fantasy in League of Legends finds its roots in other fantasy or myth, which I really like that it's like a melding pot. It does have some weird kind of borders where they're like, this is a god, but also this is a god, but also this is a demigod, but this person has divine power, but isn't a god, they're just an ascended. So it's a melting pot. As said, game originally developed in 2009, so it's been, how many years? 14 years.
Oof.
So there's been developments.
I mean,
There has been changes.
there could be a lot of different gods that kind of exist on different planes and different levels, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, Bandle City, again, doesn't have that much information about it. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that on the wiki page, in the trivia section, Bandle is cited on the wiki page as being an anglicised version of the Irish word Banlam. Bandle, so Banlam, which is a measure meaning 2 feet. That implies the name of the city is 2 Foot Town.
Yeah!
That's fucking great. If
pretty
that's
good.
true, that's great. God bless you, writer who made up that.
Are the Yodels about
That
2 feet
has
tall?
to be. Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
they are. They're real short.
Perfect.
That's Bandle City.
It's Short
alright.
Town, baby. Destination,
Short Town.
you. Listen to this podcast, you're short.
As well, the reason we know about it primarily on the material plane is because lots of Yordles find their way integrating into normal society through different areas, becoming mages, becoming fighters, becoming whatever the fuck else. So that's why we know about Bandle City, a little mythical realm.
Kind of
Jude, I think it's your turn, so let's go.
Yeah, let's go Ionia real quick.
Yeah, sick.
Speed run.
I hate this. The illusion of choice. whenever you have to pick something, make sure you pick your partners well. If it's an assignment for co-workers, pick the people well, because you'll be stuck
If it's
with
a
them for long
podcast
time.
you want to make into your job, pick real careful.
You'll be cursed.
No, I will tell you if you'd like to listen, Matt, about Targon, if that's what you
Nah,
like.
fuck it. We're gonna leave Targon
Oh,
and the
we actually
explanations
just
from the.
we actually just passed the 1 hour 40-minute mark. Sorry guys, we gotta call it there. That's it.
I've got 3 left. I promise. I know it was gonna be long.
Nah, we'll get under 2 hours. No, let's go Ionia. We're gonna
Do it,
leave
do it,
Targon,
do it.
and the question you set up at the very start when you mentioned Kale and Morgana,
Yes,
till the
exactly.
last fucking zone.
It's to keep people around, baby. That's all it's here for. Also,
Exactly.
Oh my god, my fucking forehead. You ever pause and look at yourself in a camera and just go, God fucking
You look
damn.
beautiful, guy. Give me a quote.
I know
I
I do, but
think-
like specifically, I have like a massive forehead. So,
You have.
but if people want to see it, they're gonna have to pay for our Patreon.
You have okay. If you're imagining a guy, imagine the biggest forehead is existence. It's which makes it funnier because his dad's bald as well. Very
I have
much
to wear
fits.
I have to wear XL helmets. It's really embarrassing. That's
Get-
not a
send
joke.
me-
We went
send me the
we went
quote.
go karting last time on our friend's holiday, and I had to get an XL fucking helmet.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
All right, let's go with who wants.
I like how you nearly called our trip to Phillip Island a fucking family holiday.
It's a family
I
holiday.
said friends. I said friends holiday.
It's a family holiday.
You started saying family, I swear.
It's a family holiday.
It's a family holiday. We're family. We've been friends long enough.
Oh, is that
The
it?
first, yeah. So that's the quote. Who are you taking this one, Matt? Because you didn't get this one willingly.
Yes.
Mystical sage.
I'm going old man.
Then, sure, go for it.
The first lands. It is unspoiled, beauty, and natural magic. Its inhabitants, long in scattered settlements across the massive archipelago, are a spiritual people who seek to live in harmony and balance with the world. There are many orders and sects across Ionia, each following their own, often conflicting, paths and ideals. Be sure to follow at Living by the
So Ionia.
Two can play at that game.
There's an interesting thing with Ionia where it's called the First Lands. So it's often, I think, believed
see.
to be a sort of original place of life on this planet. On Runeterra. It's where the humans sprung from. It rests. Okay, hold on. Which one did we just do? We just did Shurima. Shurima's the south. Ionia is to the
East.
ocean on the east side. It's like Bilgewater, but I think it's more north, and it's more of a single island, whereas the Bilgewater is much more like scattered little
Nice.
Yeah,
spots.
I'm looking at a map. It's its own little island off the coast of Noxus.
Hey, baby, I'm doing this by fucking memory, so
Nice.
I've memorized the map from League of Legends. I don't know if my life can get much lower than that. I'm joking. So a couple of people reside here. There's humans that reside here who usually will be spiritualists or like followers of a like a sort of monk order. You know, they're very much natural harmony seeking people. I didn't write this bit because I assumed that there was only one type of people here who I'll get to in a second. Between, you know, lots of meditation, there's some who find battle through that, others healing powers and magic and respect of nature. They often study nature. There's a space we'll get to a little bit later, which has like some interesting parts to it that they study. So humans exist here, but they're very much naturalists, studiers of certain crafts and things like that.
like
the
druids.
other people who live here are the Vestaya, who are furries.
What?
Vestayans in the original racial origins were shapeshifters, people connected with the land so much that they could form between beast and man, you know, sort of this shifty thing. And that has filtered down through the ages to make furries. They are humanoid creatures with feathers or fur or just straight up being fish people at one point. That's another one. So there's lots of interesting Vestayan characters, but they're furries. They have ears. They have little cat ears and stuff like that.
Okay, I'm for shapeshifters. Furries, they're cute.
I've got nothing against furries. I'm just saying, it's Furry Island. Go crazy.
I saw this great reel yesterday where there was a dude like walked into his bedroom and he's like, "Ah, shit, who left a teddy bear in my room?" And then it like stood up and it was someone just in like a fairy costume and he freaked the fuck out. It was very funny. Just the scream was anyway.
Very good.
I like the land of druids and monks and finding peace with yourself and finding peace that you're a furry down at heart. You know what I mean?
Down at heart.
Exactly.
I've always wanted to do a D&D campaign set in this world. It bangs. It fucking bangs. Anyway.
I was so sure you were going to say I've always wanted to be a furry. And I was
I've
like,
always
fuck
wanted
yeah,
to be.
man.
I mean, I would love to be a furry. They seem like they're having a lot of fun.
It's a very expensive hobby to get into, honestly.
If you
have to buy that
if
big
you
suit.
get a custom fursuit, you don't have to get a fursuit. You just have a fursona, dude. Chill out.
That's fair.
Anyway, in times long past, there was a sacred grove at the center of Ionia called, I'm going to fuck up the pronunciation of this, Omikayalan,
Yeah.
the heart of the world. Here stood the God Willow, a massive tree of immense importance to the original Vestayan people. However, it was destroyed by a traveling warband. The tree didn't lose the fight entirely. The one who chopped it down was once a man known as Ivan the Cruel. And when he chopped it down, the tree took his soul with the tree and turned him into a tree man, who's now known as Ivan Bramblefoot.
If you lose a fight to a tree, you deserve it.
And he is in the game a jungler. So junglers is in the game. There's 3 lanes: top, bottom, mid. In between the areas, there's like little jungle areas where there's lots of little monsters. Usually, you'll get 1 player going top, 1 player going mid, 2 players going bot, and 1 player fiddling around in the bits between. The people who fiddle around the bits between are called junglers. They attack little creatures rather than players to get their money, and that's how they level up and stuff. Ivan's a jungler who doesn't kill any of them. He just kind of places a blessing on their grove and then can come back later to come and get the XP and money he would have gotten from killing them.
He's great.
It's great. It's a delightful character. He does beat the shit out of like the enemies, which I think is very funny. It's like pacifist Ivan, but only for the plants. Only for the plants and animals. If you're a human, you can get the fuck out of here.
I agree.
Yeah.
He looks
In more
cute.
recent years, he's cool. In more recent years, the land of Ionia became a target for Noxus after they were defeated by Demacia. The tribe-like and sort of simple life that most of the Ionians led meant that Noxus fucking cleared house in this conquest. They were weakened from losing to Demacia. They needed a pick-me-up, you know, a little tasty. And they heard that there was some sort of original nature magic and stuff that they could take artifacts and things like that. And for a time, that worked quite well. Right up until a 14-year-old cut off the head of a number of the leading generals using ancient dance magic.
Yeah!
Yeah!
Hoops to the fuck.
That's actually what happens if you get too good at Dance Dance Revolution. True story.
The character, the woman, the lady, the whoever, Aurelia, is a human spiritualist who was taught the ancient magics of silk dances from of her sort of culture, without really knowing what they were for. After her family was murdered by a roaming warband, she found herself standing before a number of warriors with metal scattered on the ground from broken shields and blades. She felt the beat within her and begun to dance, and with a flick of her wrist, she threw shards of metal at the enemy, quote, cutting clean through two of the Noxians. After this battle, she helped defend the Placidium, a central place of wisdom and teaching in Ionia's main city, Novori. As she held the head of one of the invading generals aloft, safe to say that was kind of a turning point for the Noxian invasion, to have a 14-year-old show off one of the heads of your generals that she had killed.
Just a bit.
Yeah, that's a good Noxus. Listen, Noxus, get knocked down. That's
knocks us down. It knocks us down.
It does knocks us. It do get. God damn. Yeah.
She do,
however,
she do flicker the wrist and the
she
heads
do flicker
come
the
off.
wrist.
The heads do roll.
Heads do roll. Don't get too hopeful though. Ionia doesn't make it out of this well. Noxus took from Zorn some certain things, which were chemical bombs, which they used upon the land and their people. Quote, even now, years after the end of the war, nothing can grow in this land, and the souls of those who died on that horrible night lay trapped by the corrupted magics of their own land.
Sorry,
Great.
my mind just... So I'm just... You know the Nam flashbacks, dog? Yeah, that's me right now.
Yeah.
It's like, unfortunately, killed a couple guys, so we're gonna fucking commit war crimes against you and your land.
We're the invading
this
people, but
fucking
fuck you guys.
Oh, man.
You come
Funny
to me on the day of my general's dies, and you ask of me this, so I bomb the fuck out of you. That's like if someone stepped on your toe, so you responded by shooting them in the face.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty
Funny.
much.
And that
It's pretty
person,
funny.
and that person had
It's
already
no. Pause. It's like you stepping on someone else's toe, someone going, "Hey, what the fuck?" and then shooting them in the face.
Yeah. That's actually exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just mean. Noxus has got issues.
I
He's
like-
a counselor, man.
I liked when they were big gym boys and not war crimers.
They were kind of always war crimers, to be fair. They were cutting off their own generals' heads in the middle of battle, so
Yeah, that's
you can't say they're exactly clean-handed in all this.
I could believe. Okay.
Yeah. A note from the wiki: we don't have any events currently, but in present time, Noxus is actually planning to invade Ionia again, with the man who strangled the original king of Demacia leading the charge. The one who charged in and died, and then got locked under the statue that I mentioned. He's back, baby, for the next invasion of Ionia.
Put him back in.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to get him across the water from Noxus to Ionia, because I just assume any ship he arrives on, he's just going to destroyed by the time he gets there.
Just ship the
Maybe they
entire
just need
statue.
to, yeah. dig up the ground around him and send him in.
Exactly. It was so nice we invaded it twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Another power of the land, just quickly before I finish up with Ionia, I should mention. Oh, two final things. Is that there's a lot of kung fu ass shit in this area. So Master Yi is a champion in League who comes from the village of Wuju, the place where the art of Wuju originates. The principle of obtaining
Would you
absolute...
repeat that, please?
I was about to fucking... Like, I fall for it every time.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. The principle of Wuju is to obtain absolute spiritual awareness of oneself and one's enemy. Practitioners of this art are extremely skilled fighters, can use meditation to heal their wounds, and are just like omega precise and fast and powerful with swords and blades. The other practitioner of this art, after unfortunately the village of Wuju did get chemical bombed, so Master Yi survived. The only other one who survived is his new student, who goes by Wukong, which is interesting because Master Yi is only called Master Yi because... Oh no, that's not true, because he's a master of Wuju. but Wukong changed his name once he started practicing Wuju, implying his original name was just Kong. It should be mentioned, he's a Styan and he's a monkey. So that's fucking great. Let's go, baby. Donkey
That's
Kong.
fantastic.
He's
Kong.
he's Funky
Ninja
Kong.
Kong.
He's Funky Kong.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Funky.
Final tidbit. As much as it seems like it's a very namaste peace and offering. Go, Matt. What's up?
I just want one question. Why has he got 6 eyes on his head?
Because he's wearing special goggles.
Fair enough.
It's an artifact.
Thank you. Next question.
One final bit, though. As much as this place is very namaste when Noxus isn't around, it's very, very peaceful, very, very nature and chill. It's not without its own conflict. Most famously, there is a serial killer called the Golden Demon who creates what he believes to be art out of the bodies of his victims. He's a performer at heart. He's been evaded capture numerous times until finally he was captured by a tribe of ninja warriors called the Kinku, who pursue balance at all times. I don't have much more notes on that because that's great.
That's pretty fucking good. Is this Jin?
This is Jin, and the people who captured him
Fuck
are
yeah.
Zed and Shen, I believe.
Okay.
They're both
Interesting,
practices of the they're both followers of the Kinku, but Zed went out and discovered forbidden techniques that let him practice shadow magic. So he's no longer part of that. He's now part of the Shadow Order. That's another group in Ionia. Again, it's lots of like interfaction politics type like wiki pages, which I just wasn't into.
Yeah.
Shen is just
No, fair
Shredder.
enough.
I'm just looking at him. He's just Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You're right, actually. Now I think about it,
He's just in a ninja
He's
order,
got a-
and he's just Shredder. Yeah.
he's got a magic sword and he's got the full head to toe ninja wrappings.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy because he took out that demon guy who's a bit weird, a bit too far.
He
into
wasn't
his art.
actually a demon. He was a stagehand. He was just a really skilled murderer.
Yeah, that's when you get too far into the art. You know, those art kids are scary.
Yeah, no. The other thing as well I should mention is that in the Kinku Order, there's actually a Yordle who's one of the leaders of the group, whose name is Kennen. He is the Heart of the Storm. He's an electrical ninja, which go fucking crazy. Midget electrical ninja. Let's go.
Heart
Like a
of the
little fucking
Storm,
cat
dang.
thing.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, he's
So
still...
that's Ionia.
So that's Ionia. That is Ionia. You're quite right. What have we got
Nice.
left? Noxus Banner. We've got Ixtal, the Shadow Isles, and Targon.
We got 3 more. Okay.
Yeah, they're not long.
Oh, shit.
Ixtal has next to no lore, and Shadow Isles I kind of skip because they're attached to a much larger event that I'm not willing to go in detail on unless I'm doing its own episode.
Okay, let's go speed run through both of those then. Exile.
All right,
let's go.
Ixtal. Ixtal is generally used to refer to the jungles on the southern continent of the southeastern side of the southern continent, which is Shurima, the jungles down on the very bottom of the continent, which at the center of those jungles is the long-hidden city of Ixacan. If you're looking for the mythological / historical basis this is on, it's on South American mythology. But also elemental magic. This is an area that has a really weird history because they're kind of detached from the rest of the empire. Essentially, a couple of elemental mages just went and hid themselves in the jungle and then fucked around for ages. Yeah. Once upon a time, this area was a part of the Shuriman Empire, though. The vassal state of Icathia rose up against Shurima, presumably because of slaving or whatever the fuck else. So Shuriman sent armies to crush them. In response, the mages of Icathia opened a gateway to the void, because fuck if that ain't just the answer to everything in this goddamn game. With everyone realized this was a terrible idea, the state fell, and an elemental mage from Ixtal rose to create a weapon to beat back the void. It was a massive floating fortress, which he flew into battle to destroy the void creatures. The battle was weeks long and terrible and left a lot of people dead, and at the end, all that was left was twisted stone and dust. The mage who created this weapon fled for his life deep into the jungle, and I think that's implied, to be when he, started Ixacan, which is the modern-day capital of Ixtal. Again, they only came into the game, recently, big quotes, 5 years ago. Haven't had a lot of development. They're essentially just elemental mages. The central city lies at intersecting ley lines of power with unique elemental abilities, and a lot of magical practitioners are from there. We've got a fire mage who can use the warmth of the fire to heal people, even though the fire mages who live in Ixtal don't like him because he's using fire magic the wrong way. They're just mad at him. Don't worry about it.
Nice.
But also, they've got some pretty deadly, serious leaders. One of which has a magic weapon that can wield all 4 elements and is like she's fucking nasty.
The Avatar.
Kiana is like super skilled and super dedicated to the idea that she's going to take control of the city, despite the fact that it's currently ruled by a council. But she's like, "Nah, I'm in charge, baby."
That's not a good sign. Never a good sign.
Not a good sign. Not great. But again, still in progress story. Not a lot lengthwise has been written about it, so that's that. It's also a kind of disparate region. There's a lot of characters that are in this Ixtal region just because they're in the jungle, including a plant lady who has some parts of the thicker jungle as her domain, which she was created when a fucking mage during the Rune Wars accidentally bombed a group of carnivorous plants because swamp gases were around and she tried to use fire magic. And so it just made a magic bomb, and then a plant lady came up a couple centuries later. Fucked if I know. Zyra's got a weird backstory.
Magic.
One that I do like.
Magic and death means big monster evil characters.
Exactly.
Actually, you're right. That's quite consistent.
It's quite consistently magic.
Final part of Ixtal, there is also pseudo related to Ixtal, but also very related to the original story I told. The massive floating fortress, a piece of it fell off during the war and buried itself in the ground. This became a earth elemental called Malphite, who's just a big rock guy.
That's sick.
He is just a big rock boy.
I like that. I like the big rock boy.
Anyway, that's Ixtal. Elemental mages stuck in a forest. There's not a lot of history to them. They've got some cool shit going on.
Nice.
That's that.
I like the answer to we're being invaded and we have no chance. Let's fucking open a portal to hell. If you can't have this city, no one fucking
Literally
can.
what they did.
Yeah.
Great times.
Also, I think Julia question: who was the person in game that did?
Who was the mage? Yeah.
Who's the big mage that made the city?
Not a character.
Oh, okay.
Historical character, not current character. The ones from Ixtal are Zyra, who's the plant person, Malphite. I'm talking about Milio.
Kiana.
Kiana's the leader. Milio's the fire mage I mentioned, who they don't like.
Yep.
I think there's some others. I will mention...
Is Brand from here?
No, he's wielding one of the world runes. He's wielding the fire rune from the world runes. Which I don't know how he stays together, but whatever. Anyway... Shadow Isles. Skipping on to the next one. The Shadow Isles, I don't have time to go over, as I mentioned. I might make an episode on this later, but essentially League of Legends lore had a massive event called the Ruination, which just had every region involved, had massive crossovers, all sorts of stuff. To go back, before it was the Shadow Isles, it began as the Blessed Isles, where life magic was common, and the waters of life sprung from deep below the earth. It had nature spirits, such as a big tree guy called Maokai, who's cool as fuck. And for a very long time, it was quite a secret place that only some Ionian scholars were allowed to visit to kind of study the nature magic that it had. However, a king from a far eastern continent, due to some very unfortunate events, lost his wife to a poison dagger. His grief drove him to seek out the power of the islands, where he laid his wife into the life-giving water, but she arose not as his wife anymore, but as a wraith. She then grabbed the sword that the king carried, which is named Soul Render, a powerful necrotic artifact, and fucking murders the king, both while standing in the waters of life. After this, the water and the life magic of the island becomes corrupted, and black mist spews forth, which corrupts everything it touches. It turned one of the guys from the king's army and his horse into one thing, which is great as a horse guy.
That's kind of sick.
What, a centaur or just a horse guy?
It's
He's just a horse guy.
Because a centaur is implicitly someone who was born as half human, half horse.
So he's a horse guy.
Do they have to? Like, maybe not, but in my technicality, it's a horse guy, because it's a guy who's melded to his horse. So Hecarim's in-game character, playable horse guy.
Cool.
Basically, this event created the Ruination, and Viego, who's the king mentioned, becomes the Ruined King. He moves across the world and basically tries to absorb everything into his death magic, because I think that the idea is, like, if I absorb enough, like, people who are alive, I can bring my wife back. But he then gets
back
pushed
to life never goes well. That's all I
No, it doesn't. Not in this world. He's then pushed back by a group called the Sentinels of Light, but the details are like way too long to get into here. So safe to say the Shadow Isles were once Blessed Isles. They then got corrupted by necrotic artifacts. Now they're bad.
I feel like I feel like there's an episode here, like not just about maybe just Shadoweyes. I don't know if they have enough time for that, but like not tonight, obviously. But like,
Oh, no.
you could literally do like key like wars or ruination events in.
Oh, there's so many fucking wars and events and
we
stuff.
can do like a war tier list next time.
Well, the Bilgewater one that I mentioned actually involved 2 other characters and a couple of more, like Twisted Fate and Graves were involved in that. That was an event called the Burning Tides. Yeah, there's a lot of events.
See, we could do a tier list on the events,
And
of
that's not
Runeterra.
even
We should
getting
do that.
into Zillion, the time wizard who can see all timelines, implying he can see the timelines where the skins come from, because the skins in every one are from sets, which are, like, canonically, like, their own parallel universes, which includes a magical girl universe, one themed after pajama parties, like, just like, random
Pool
other
party.
shit. There's like so many different parallel universes as well. So if you want to include Zillion in the story, we can keep going. There's so much to League lore. It's such a pain in the ass. That's why I'm obsessed. That's why I'm obsessed with it.
By the way, for people, skins are like different character models. So like you can have like a model that your character looks slightly differently. You know, like that's what a
Yeah,
skin
that's
is.
fair.
I'm just describing what a skin is.
I just assume all of our listeners are gamers.
That's true. I do love that. That's a really good way to do skins. They're just different universes. That's kind of sick.
Well, it means also that when they release like a batch of skins, they're all from like one universe. So you get like drops, and then they'll revise this like a previously gone to thing. Like they had Star Guardians is the magical girl universe, and they've had 2 different batches of those, and then they've got Star Nemesis, which is like the bad guys in the magical girl. Anyway, I shouldn't ramble.
Okay, finally, please, Targon, please.
Targon.
And that's it. We'll be back for League of Legends Part 3. You know.
Targon is cited by the wiki and the official website as like a region, but the only part that we care about it is Mount Targon.
Mount
Big
Targon,
mountain.
baby.
It's just a big mountain. It's nothing special really, apart from the fact that if you get to the top, you get to become an ascended, which is the aspect of a god.
How tall?
Not much then.
Literally indescribably tall, like feats of human, like one in a millennia type person will get to the top.
So it's not just like it is hard to get to the top. So you got to be worthy.
Oh yeah, and beyond that, it's also cited that the mountain shifts. Like there's no way to map it to the top, and as you ascend, like challenges arise before you, monsters and like terrible weather and all this sort of shit.
I love that. I can't remember what book it is, but I remember reading a book when I was like a kid.
Talking about Rowan of Rourke or whatever the fuck it's called.
Is that the one where they go up? Each challenge is like a person's like fear or
Rowan
like,
of Rin.
yeah, and
Rowan of Rin. Rowan of Rin is a series of 5 children's fantasy novels by Emily Rodda, Australian author. Follows the adventures of a shy village boy, Rowan. The original book, Rowan of Rin, is about them climbing a mountain, to my memory.
Yeah, and they have each challenge that come along the way is supposed to test one of the people in the party.
Yeah.
A lot of them die. It's kind of hard.
A lot of them die. Rowan gets to the top, and then he goes down what sounds like the most terrifying water slide of all time.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's a good book. Emily Rodda's a good author. I love
Oh
her.
yeah. So it's just that. What if you teleport to
It's
the top?
not just that.
It's just that. What do you mean? But you become a god at the top. Yeah. What do you mean? It's just that.
Does Rowan become a god?
No, he does not. I don't know what he.
he just
I actually
learned some
can't remember
secret
what
about
they-
life?
I can't remember why they're climbing the mountain.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's something to make like his village better, like the water's
Probably.
bad or something.
Okay.
Anyway,
Can I ask, why? What if you just teleport to the top?
can't.
Why not?
It's protected by god magic.
Fair enough. That's a good explanation.
The only way to get to the top is to battle your way through all the things. Because I was thinking about this. I'm like, what if a seagull just lands on the top?
Oh my god, Godbird.
That
Godbird.
seagull
good.
deserves it. It went through challenges to get there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did.
It
No,
did.
anyway, so that's
Oh my
where that's
god.
at.
Seagull God just makes the world turn into like masses of chips.
Hell yeah. They
What?
don't actually
What?
become a
What?
god. They
What?
become remember, they're an aspect of a god, not an actual god.
Sorry,
Anyway.
sorry.
The lower areas of the mountain does house a couple of various tribes, such as the Rakor, who are a warrior tribe who live in pursuit of battle and knowledge. A couple of them end up climbing the mountain in different various times, but yeah. The mountain has 2 primary events I want to talk about. Events on the second one being plural, I don't know why I wrote it like that. But the first that I'm going to cover is the theft of knowledge from the god Aurelian Soul. The Aurelian Soul incident, as I titled in this document for some fucking reason, involves a group of mortals in the first breaths of the world convincing the star-forging god to come down to Runeterra to receive a magnificent crown from them as a gift for his hard work forging the star that is now the sun.
This is not going to go well.
He was tricked, of course, and the crown was bound to his head, doing two things. First of all, siphoning his knowledge of divine magic, specifically to do with the sun, which was later used to create the Shuriman Sun Disk.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
As I said, they got it from the Cargonians how to make the Sun Disk. That's this. The other thing it did is it propelled him away from Runeterra so that he couldn't do anything after that. So they just like, yoink, go away, and just repelled him from the world.
There's never a story where they kind of bring someone into some place and be like, we want to give you a gift, and they give them the gift, and they're going, thanks, that's a nice gift, I appreciate that, and they go, and then they all go home, and everyone's happier.
Yeah.
It never happens. I want a story.
Yeah, I mean, no, get him out of here. Fuck this guy. I mean, it's a smart plan. Steal the knowledge of a god and then make it so the god can't return to this world. Great.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, if it works.
So what is this? What are the what happens
The
now?
second event. So the other event, the other events,
Yeah.
plural, is has to do with what is at the top of the mountain, which is called the City of Gold and Silver, or Targon Prime. It is a realm beyond Runeterra where the aspects reside, gods of various smaller domains. Think Greek pantheon type stuff. When a mortal manages to reach the peak of the mountain, they are greeted by these aspects and can be chosen to become an aspect in their name. The god will usually choose the person who comes to the top depending on what they represent. We know a couple of them. So the ones that we know of are the aspect of the moon, the aspect of the wanderer, the aspect of the sun, the aspect of justice, the aspect of the protector, the aspect of twilight, and the aspect of war. So that gives you kind of an idea of what sort of domains we're dealing with.
Interesting.
To go back to your question, Matt, the aspect of justice is the aspect that chose Kael and Morgana's mother.
Ah.
When she decided to step down, or she died or something, I don't remember, to be totally honest. She then split her power between the daughters, who both took a different form of justice. So Kael being an entirely no missteps allowed justice
Bit
protector
of a piece of shit. Yeah.
is like the morality, good and bad, black and white type justice, you know? Whereas Morgana being like a, person who repents people, that's the wrong word, but you get what I mean.
A more reasonable person, yes.
Yeah. Is the form of justice of like, saving people, that sort of thing. Justice in that form.
Reforming.
Correct. So that's justice. That's the aspect of justice. That's where they got their power from. That's why they are the way they are. They also have wings, which Morgana doesn't like. She keeps trying to get them to be cut off, but she can't cut them off because they're god wings, so she just has them bound in chains.
Why do you not like wings? Why would anyone not like wings?
Because she's ashamed of her godly powers. She just wants to be immortal.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Sorry, immortal, not immortal.
Okay, I was like, I just
Yeah.
want to be immortal, you know?
Yeah. In rare cases,
She wants the
aspect-
immortal side, though.
Yeah. In rare cases, the aspects will also come down from the mountain and choose a host, but the only time that I'm aware of that this has happened is during the Darken Wars, so it has to be pretty fucking dire for that to happen.
The word has to be fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. I personally, I'm going to talk about... There's lots of different stories about lots of different ones. We don't have time to go into it here. This is officially the final thing. But I would like to talk about the aspect of war, the previous aspect of war, which is a man named Atreus, who ventured to the top with one of his brothers in arms, as the other guy was dying. They made it to the top of the mountain, and Atreus was chosen by Pantheon, the aspect of war, but he didn't like Atreus's something, the cut of his jib. He didn't have the je ne sais quoi that he was looking for. So the aspect of war took control of his body directly. So Atreus found himself no longer in control of his body. Pantheon was now in control. Usually when an aspect is chosen, they just have their powers enhanced. They become a semi-godly creature, but they're still themselves. This wasn't that. After some time, this is, I think, also during the Darken Wars, but Pantheon ends up dueling with the Darken Atriox, who kills him. He stabs him through the chest. He kills him so hard that Pantheon's constellation is removed from the sky. However, while Atriox kills Pantheon, he doesn't kill Atreus. The mortal man underneath did not die, while the god that had taken his body did. He spat in the face of the Darkin, who, bemused, just kind of left him to die, assuming he would. Fueled by nothing but rage and mortal passion, Atreus rose, taking his spear and shield, and after some healing in his home village, faced the Darkin Aatrox again, fueling his god weapons, but with, again, nothing but mortal passion. Like, becoming a demigod through sheer fucking force of will. Again, I love force of will stories. I don't know, there's something about them.
It's a lot. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that here. There's a lot of that. Death doesn't mean death when there's magic involved.
Correct, yeah. This actually, interestingly, I will clarify, Atreus living is not due to magic. It's because he is a mortal and is, like, just passionate rage, betrayal, it's literally said the only reason he is alive is because of mortal passion.
He literally had a god inside him, though. I think that has some sort of effects on people sometimes.
Canonically, it doesn't. Canonically, it had no effect.
I think that's like a storytelling.
The only reason he survived is because of mortal passion. You cannot take this away from me. Go fuck yourself.
I will take it a little. I'm taking it.
Atreus faced Aatrox again, and with his newly fueled god weapons through his own powers, cut Aatrox's sword arm off his body, detaching the Darkin from its host body, because at that point the Darkin are in the weapons. And in so doing, brings the aspect of war's constellation back into the sky and Atreus decides to take the god's name and place as the new god of war. Takes the name Pantheons. Hence the character in the game, Pantheon.
Oh, there you go.
Fuck
so yeah.
Sick.
So that's generally the gist. Was the questions about Targon specifically, or something else in the lore? Because we're at the last region, baby. We're at the end.
I don't know. There's so much information.
So many questions.
So much information. Okay. In the gods that created the universe, they were the Targon gods, right?
No.
Oh.
There is another set of gods.
Fuck's
I don't
sake.
know what their name are. I think they're called the Starforgers. Where's the timeline? Lore.
The Starforgers, but didn't you say one of the gods they pulled down created the sun?
Yes, he was one of the up gods, not aspects. The aspects are like the pantheon of gods. The original forgers are the ones who created the universe.
So the Forgers made the universe, and they made their own gods to be like, okay, don't play to us. Just annoy these guys instead of annoying us.
I think they sort of just spat some life into the realm and sort of just let it do its own thing, and it ended up coalescing that way.
Fair enough.
But yeah, the Celestials is what those gods are called. So a couple of Celestials include the Celestial Dragons, such as Aurelian Sol, who we heard of, and Involus Vox. There's also a character called Bard, who's just kind of a trinket collector, and he generally just protects characters from their own incompetence. He's a cool guy.
Fucking bard, man.
That's fun.
Are you just stretching?
Me?
Do you have a question? Do you have a question, Judah?
Yeah. No, I'm stretching.
Okay, cool. There's also...
I didn't even consider that the camera's there.
That's right, it's all good. There's also a character called Soraka, who's... I don't know what her purpose as a Celestial is. I don't think the Celestials have as clear-cut of a purpose, apart from some of them, like Aurelian Sol is the Starforger. But it seems just sort of like they're a little gang of guys just kind of making stuff because they're infinitely fucking powerful.
Damn, okay, Soraka's a fucking Celestial.
Soraka is a Celestial, but she's bound to a mortal body because she saw suffering in the realm and wanted to kind of fix it. I actually really like the way that it's tied into the gameplay. Using her celestial powers burns her mortal body, which in-game is shown as when Soraka heals someone, she has to trade her own health for that.
That's cool. I like that.
Which encourages you to build a tank healer, which is kind of funny.
It's pretty
Because she's kind of like a little tiny, like, elf-looking woman, and she's got, like, you know, little horn and some little stuff like that. She's still kind of sparkly, and she's got, like, 8,000 health, and it's like, what the fuck? What are you doing?
I am looking at some of the artwork of the gods and the Starforgers, and it's so cool. They look awesome.
Oh, Aurelian Sol specifically is really, really cool. But yeah, so that's the original creation of the universe. As far as I'm aware, they sort of just, like, spat some stuff in. Interestingly enough, the Void's technically older than the Celestials, which means that some of the Watchers are actually older, more powerful, maybe, than the Celestials.
That's kind of cool.
There you go. That's kind of sick.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the breath of creation created the new celestial realm, and through the celestial realm created stars and created Runeterra, which then led to the aspects being created, which led to humans, which led to all the rest of the bullshit I just told you about.
I do like how
Fantastic.
it does seem like the Watchers are. I know he used this metaphor earlier, but they do seem like they were just having a nice rest, and the Celestials came and they decided to start the universe and make resistance, and they're like, fucking turn the music off, turn it all off, get rid of it, burn the house down. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Good times.
I know, I like it. I like it. My favorite zone for just the whole story
Yeah.
probably would have to be. Ooh, it's hard. I love the what's the place where the little furry guys are from?
Bandle City, baby.
Yeah, 2 Foot Town, baby.
Vandal City's the best. Yeah.
Oh, but I can't go past what is it?
Bilgewater.
Yeah,
Bilgewater.
Bilgewater, because they have like multiple cool crabs.
I was gonna say, I personally am a big fan of Bilgewater. Bilgewater's really tickles my fancy because there's lots of cool characters from there that are just like little sneak thieves, and also I just like Pike because I play Pike a lot.
What's your favorite zone, Judith?
Freljord.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
Why?
Viking simp.
What can I say? They're just a cool faction.
Viking's
They have a
fun.
cool combination of Viking fantasy and elf fantasy, you know?
Fair enough. Fair enough. That is pretty sick.
Demacia is just a little bit too Arthurian, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, there's lots of fun parts. But yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoy it because it's going to be all of my episodes from everything here on out. And I'm not joking about that 164 all backstories episode. There will be a torture episode that I will put up on Patreon once I can pin these guys down long enough to make them listen to it.
Just get the other videos up on Patreon first before you worry
No!
about this
Fuck
one.
you! Listen! I'm doing a special episode. Don't take this away
Any
from me.
listeners that are out there, please send help. Please send help right now.
No.
Please.
Don't worry about them.
Please.
They're fine. I've got
Please.
them.
We'll set that special as a Patreon goal. If we get 10 Patreon people, or $100 on Patreon, we'll make that episode and put it out on Patreon.
Do not make that promise. Do not make
That's
that
a promise.
Yeah,
That is a
baby.
promise.
Easy peasy.
And if you wanna,
I'm making 10 accounts right now.
if you wanna pay for it, then sure.
$100 to
If,
pin you guys down for 5 hours. That's $20 an hour. That's $10 an hour per person. Plus, I probably get a third of it, so it's less again.
If you want to support us, it's if you want to support us at Patreon, we're at Living by the Law on Patreon. We're also at Living by the Law on Facebook, Twitter, Threads. Not really. Sorry, not
TikTok.
Twitter. X apparently. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Not really use Instagram, and TikTok. That's like
And
the big
YouTube,
ones.
once my fucking video exporter stops corrupting the goddamn MP4s.
Threads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, those are the big ones. TikTok and Instagram in particular. Go follow us there for behind the scenes and edits of the podcast, and to keep updated with all the latest, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And yeah, support us. And the best thing you can do is tell your friends. Whisper to them. Just write a very detailed letter and slip it under their door. They won't
The
know it's you.
number of stars that you give us on iTunes is the number of magical bullshit reasons you will come back from the dead.
It is. It also
That's a good one. Yeah.
it's directly related to the number of stars you're going to pull from the sky and then bullshit that god into existence. Yeah,
Yeah.
directly related.
It's perfect.
So if you want a good
the amount of
reason to
yodels
come
you
back
can
from the
take
dead
in a
or a
fight.
bad reason to come back from the dead, you better give us 5 stars. What was that you said?
I said the amount of stars you could, is the amount of yodels you could take in a fight.
Those 2 foot legends. That's a lot. I mean, those guys are.
They're really powerful, guys.
I'm impressed. You rated 5 stars. Wow, that's 5 yodels you could take.
That's
impressive.
5. You're very powerful.
Damn,
And
dude.
you can rate us on Spotify or at iTunes, where we appreciate all the help we can get. Link is in the description below. And yeah, that's been us. Anything else?
That's been us,
Guy, you wanna
baby.
leave off on?
Another.
I will keep the threat of League of Legends episodes for as long as I live on this podcast. You will not stop me.
Oh, and I'm on Twitch and YouTube. We're putting on YouTube as well. So by the time it's coming out, hopefully we'll have stuff up on YouTube as well. And we're on Twitch. So have join us there, where we research episodes and play games. Like I've been meaning to play Runeterra.
Legends of Runeterra.
Yeah, Legends of Runeterra. I mean,
Would you be interested to know that there's actually more lore in Legends of Runeterra that doesn't necessarily
And
exactly
that's
line up
where
with
we're
League of
gonna.
Legends? Good night, everybody. I love you.
Thank you for listening. Good lord.
Have a great morning.
And a great evening.
Good afternoon.
Hell yeah. We actually smoothly got off all parts of the day. I'm proud of us.
Nice, we actually did it. You know.
What aspect? I think aspect of bullshit.
I think I'd be the aspect of the
Scuttle crab.
the ADHD people.
Aspect of crab.
Crabs! Thank you for listening to Living by the Law. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. The link is in the description, and thank you in advance. Also, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Living by the Law to keep updated on the latest about our podcast. We have been, and always will be, living by the law. Thank you for your company, and good night.